Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Copying Natural Treasures, Cultivating Immortality is Not Difficult. Chapter 1. Wulong Mountain is located in a sparsely populated area in Ching North. The land here is filled with poisonous diseases, the mountain roads are rugged, and the wild animals are ferocious. Therefore, this is definitely a place with extremely harsh living conditions, but even so, there are still some villages here that are surviving tenaciously. At this time, in a slightly dilapidated gray ancestral hall, 5 little dolls, including Lu Lin, were trembling, even twitching, rolling on the ground in pain, growling. It looked like he was in great pain and was undergoing some kind of torture. In addition, on the other side of the ancestral hall near the gate, the village chief and another middle-aged man in luxurious long-distance running clothes were also watching all this nervously or indifferently. The middle-aged man is full of nobility and has an indescribable aura about him. He looked at everything in front of him calmly, seemingly expressionless. After a while, he suddenly shook his head and said coldly, "It seems that none of these 5 dolls are good. There is not even a seedling with a spiritual orifice among them. Forget it, no need to look any further. They are really a bunch of waste. What a waste of those spiritual grasses. Spiritual orifices. If you want to become an immortal cultivator or an immortal, you must open your spiritual orifices and accumulate spiritual energy. Although this is only the first step, it is also the most critical and important step that can block the difference between immortals and mortals. If you cannot open your spiritual aperture, you will never be able to step into that door." At the same time, the village chief also became a little frightened. He nodded quickly and bowed. "Wu, Immortal Master Wu, why don't you give them a few more hours to take a look? I remember it's only less than an hour. Maybe you can give them some more time and it will be done." "HMPH, what if we give it more time? If it doesn't work, it won't work." "Huh." The middle-aged man snorted coldly and wanted to continue saying something. At this moment, his face suddenly changed slightly, as if he noticed something. At the same time, among the children in front of me, 2 of them slowly began to change. There began to be some faint spiritual energy smoke above their heads, or it was yellow, or it was blue, red, etc., to name a few. As the spiritual aperture opened, the middle-aged man's face lit up and he suddenly became excited. "Very good. Great. Actually, 2 people have awakened their spiritual apertures. This time they didn't run away in vain, ha ha ha. Third son, have you awakened your spiritual aperture? Ha 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 ha. Well done, well done." The village chief was also full of excitement, because one of the little babies who successfully awakened his spiritual orifice was his grandson, Sanzi. The other person besides this is Lu Lin. "Did you make it?" Forced to endure the heartbreaking pain in his body, Lu Lin murmured, but he also felt that his body seemed to be more comfortable than before, as well as another strange feeling. "Is this the spiritual aperture? Great, I seem to have really succeeded," he murmured, feeling completely excited and trembling all over. Since he traveled to this world, yes, he is not a native of this world, but a traveler. It's just that the environment and conditions at the beginning were not very good. As an orphan, he was taken in by kind-hearted villagers and adopted in this village. He lives here and there until now. It can be considered that I have suffered a lot. Moreover, at first he thought this was just an ordinary, desolate, poor village. It was located in the wilderness and deep in the mountains, so it was inaccessible to people. For this reason, he also thought about how to get out of here if it was bigger. I have a lot of thoughts and plans in my mind. But one day later, he suddenly realized something was wrong. Because he discovered that every little baby here takes an herbal medicine called Tiling Sao every year. This herb was very bitter and unpalatable, but it seemed to have inexplicable mysterious power. One day 5 years ago, he saw with his own eyes another eldest child in the village who had awakened his spiritual aperture and was taken away by Master Wu Xian in front of him. From then on he realized, this seems to be a world with extraordinary power. Immortal leader, is that the power of immortals, cultivating the world of immortals? He actually came to the world of an immortal cultivator. For a moment, he was excited, surprised, panicked, nervous, overwhelmed, etc. Many emotions poured into his heart, but in the end, these still made him determined. He, Lu Lin, must awaken his spiritual orifice. You must step into the gate of immortal cultivators. He can do it. Fortunately, the result did not disappoint him. He finally succeeded. Lu Lin, who was twitching all over, gradually calmed down. Then he subconsciously touched the blue-gray pendant around his neck, with a smile on his face. That was the mysterious pendant he brought through time travel. Moreover, perhaps 70% to 80% of the credit for his successful awakening of the spiritual orifice must be attributed to it. After all, its ability is really not simple. Once the spiritual aperture is completed, the sky and the earth will be great from now on. The sky is high and birds can fly. Congratulations to you two little guys. The middle-aged man's voice came, and his attitude was obviously much better than before. Grandpa, have I really succeeded? Have I awakened my spiritual orifice? Great, ha ha ha, Grandpa, I have succeeded. Brother Erden, Brother Lin, I have succeeded. From now on, I will be an immortal. Am I great, ha ha ha. The third child didn't seem to be so upset at this time. He jumped up all of a sudden, with a boastful expression on his face, very happy and excited. He was only 8 years old, but now he had awakened his spiritual power. He was equivalent to a child of destiny, so he should be proud and proud. However, the other 3 kids were very upset. Although they were young, they also knew the importance of the success or failure of the spiritual power awakening. This was only one chance. Once failed, it would be really bad. They were all excluded from that door. Woo woo woo. For a moment, someone couldn't help crying. Why are you crying? You are so useless. The village chief immediately frowned and gestured to the strong man outside the gate. Quick, take the 3 of them away and send them back. You two have successfully awakened your spiritual acupoints, so next, you can report to Wulongman with me. Oh, by the way, your spiritual acupoints have just awakened, and for you, they are not stable yet, so rest for another day, and we will set off together tomorrow morning. Before that, you can say goodbye to your family. After all, this trip will separate the immortals from the mortals. If nothing unexpected happens, you should not be able to come back in a short time. Master Wu looked at the 3 children and Lu Lin and said with a smile. Although they are just 2 little kids, as long as their spiritual acupoints are awakened successfully, they will be people from the same world as him. Not to mention if there is a genius who is doing well among the other party. He can even get on the boat and hug his thighs. So his attitude now is obviously much better than before. Perhaps it is more accurate to say that this is the attitude he should have when facing people from the same world, right? Thank you, Master Wu, thank you, Master Wu. The village chief hurriedly bowed his head to thank him, and then took the 3 children away. Before that, he asked Lu Lin, Xiao Lindsay, do you want to come to our house for a meal and rest? Your Uncle Mao came back from hunting a few days ago and caught a big wild boar. We are in a good mood today, so let's eat it. If it were in the past, the village chief's attitude towards him would not be so bad, but it would definitely not be so good. After all, wild boar is definitely the top food in this small village with a small population. It is no exaggeration to say that many people may not be able to have such a meal after living for several years or even decades. Of course, he, an orphan without a father or a mother, is even less qualified. But now, everything has changed. The spiritual acupoint has awakened, and even the village chief's attitude towards him is much different than before. But he still refused. I won't go, village chief. I will leave tomorrow. I want to go back home and stay for a while. Lu Lin said politely. Okay then. Seeing Lu Lin's refusal, the village chief was a little unhappy at first, but when he thought of the other party's current changes, he said nothing and hurriedly, excitedly and happily pulled his little grandson San the Sun left. Seeing the village chief and the others leaving, Lu Lin also quickly said respectfully to the Wu immortal in front of him. Master Wu Xian, I'll take my leave now. I'll be there on time tomorrow. Go ahead. Master Wu Xian looked at Lu Lin amiably, and then suddenly shook his head and said. Don't worry, there's nothing to worry about. Now that you're on the road to cultivating immortality, you and them are already in 2 different worlds. And I remember you are still an orphan, right? In fact, it's just right. You have no worries and are simpler. When you go to our Wulongman, the wild boars and tigers will be nothing, the spiritual food, the meat and the immortal food. Even the treasures of nature, materials and earth, these will be there. Come on, little guy. Lu Lin was shocked all over. Then he bowed respectfully to Master Wu Xian and bowed. Thank you, Master Wu Xian. Then he turned and left. Looking at Lu Lin's leaving figure, Master Wu Xian's eyes also flickered. Even some laughed, murmured. Although I didn't see it clearly just now, the concentration of the spiritual light of these two little dolls is obviously much stronger than the ordinary ones. I don't know who has better luck, but no matter what, I have made a great contribution this time, right? I hope you can discover a genius and bring it back with you. In this way, I can move forward again. Breakthrough. Hey, those broken pills are really too expensive, I really can't afford them. After leaving the ancestral hall, Lu Lin did not return to the village, but walked toward the mountains outside the village. Because that's where his home is. Not long after, in a remote place, a dilapidated house came into view. This place is about 1 or 2 miles away from the village. It used to be used as a sentinel to prevent danger and wild beasts from invading. But later, it was his grandfather who took him to live here. Jia opened the door. Lu Lin came to a half-broken bow with a complex expression, and slowly knelt down. That is his grandfather's relic in this world. If the other party hadn't been kind enough to take him in, I'm afraid he would have died long ago. But the other party seemed to have died on his behalf. One day during a hunting trip, his grandfather was attacked and killed by a wild beast, and only this half of the bow was brought back. Grandpa, I succeeded, do you know? I really succeeded in awakening the spiritual aperture. Tomorrow morning, I will leave with Wu Shanxi from Wulongmen and go to Wulongmen. Grandpa, did you hear it? I succeeded. Lu Lin said softly, with some sobs in her voice. Either because of excitement, or because of emotion, or maybe both reasons. Although it came from time to time. But those years of getting along day and night, as well as his careful care of the other person in those years, these are all true. Therefore, in his heart, the other party has long been his grandfather. The kind that is better than relatives. After talking to the broken bow in front of him for a while, Lu Lin slowly stood up and walked towards the house. Then he locked the door and took a closer look at the surroundings outside the window. After finding no problem, he carefully opened the adobe brick on the ground and took out a sparkling green spiritual grass. Ti Ling Sao. That's right. This is the spiritual grass that the little kid in the village has only one quota for every year, Ti Ling Sao. It is said that this thing can help young mortals to invigorate their spiritual acupoints and improve the qualifications of immortal cultivators. At the same time, there is a chance to awaken the spiritual orifice and open the spiritual orifice. But because of this, the quantity of this thing is very small. Only every time the Wulong sect immortal master comes to awaken the spiritual aperture and recruit disciples, they will bring some, so they use one less. In normal times, they don't know where to find them. It can't be found at all. But who would have thought? Under this inconspicuous floor tile, in this dilapidated house, there are a large number of tiling grasses. Looking around, there are simply countless, at least hundreds of them. It's also the biggest secret of Lu Lin's time travel. Copy. It's really all thanks to you that I can awaken my spiritual orifice so smoothly. Lu Lin smiled and looked at the spiritual herbs in front of him. He had been eating these spiritual herbs for many years. 3 meals a day, every year. That's why it went so smoothly. As for why he has so many spirit grasses, it's because of the pendant around his neck. It possesses the magical power effect that is enough to replicate the spirit-raising grass. Lu Lin smiled and touched the pendant around his neck, then put the Ti Ling Sao in his other hand on the pendant and touched it. Suddenly, the light filled the air, and a new Ti Ling Sao suddenly appeared out of thin air. What a magical power! Lu Lin couldn't help but murmured. My heart was also filled with ups and downs, and I was very excited. Although this was not the first time he watched it, he couldn't help but get excited every time. Because he understands that this is the capital that will enable him to settle down and live in this world from now on, or even soar into the sky and become a successful person. Copy. If all such spiritual herbs or heavenly materials and earthly treasures can be copied, then even if I am not talented in cultivating immortals, I should be able to pursue other sub-professional careers in cultivating immortals, such as alchemists, weapon refiners, etc. develop. What an amazing power, I'm so lucky. Lu Lin murmured, then laughed. Then he walked aside and took out a fire stick to light it. Then, He threw it directly at all the pickling grass under the floor tiles. Set it all on fire. Boom, boom, boom. The fire broke out instantly, and the raging flame swallowed up all the tiling grass, and then rose up and burned the entire dilapidated house. At the same time, Wulong immediately withdrew. Then he took away the broken bow hanging inside and ran out. After running some distance, I just stood in the distance and watched the house in front of me being burned down. Until later, the fire engulfed everything. He suddenly sighed, then immediately turned around and left here. Early the next morning, it's still that ancestral hall. The village chief looked at Wulong with a strange expression and asked, "Xiao Lindsay, is your house on fire?" The fire was so intense that it even spread into the forest when they discovered it. Later, it was not extinguished until late at night. You can imagine how big the movement was. I put it there. Wulong didn't hide anything. He nodded directly and said calmly, "I'm sorry, village chief. I think I have to leave. My grandfather is also dead. There is no way I can go back there. So I just set it on fire." The village chief opened his mouth, but in the end he said nothing. After all, it's still the same sentence. The spiritual awakening was successful. Wulong now and Wulong in the past are indeed not the same person. They are different. Let's go, it's time for us to set off. At this moment, Master Wu Xian spoke. One day was enough for the three sons, Wulong and the others, to stabilize their spiritual apertures. And now he also wants to return to Wulongmen as soon as possible to avoid long nights and dreams. So, I don't want to wait any longer. Master Wu Xian, and you, Xiao Lindsay, my three sons, I leave it to you. From now on when we go to Wulongmen, you must unite with each other and take good care of each other. The village chief couldn't help but say, "Grandpa, don't worry. I will definitely become a powerful immortal master in the future. I will come back to see you soon. Wait for me," Sanzi said excitedly. Master Wu Xian urged him. "Let's go, let's set off." Soon, they then boarded the carriage and left the small village. Looking out the window at the familiar mountains fading away, Wulong was also a little moved in her heart, and her mood became complicated. Really gone? Then next, is his stage about to begin? Wulong clenched his fists, his face full of determination. He will succeed. Wulongmen is located deep in Wulong Mountain. It is said that heavy fog often fills the sky here, forming the appearance of a giant dragon, hence its name. But some people say, this is because of the existence of Wulongmen, so the name was changed. After all, a long time ago, the name of this mountain range was not this. It was just because it was said that Master Wulong came here to establish a sect. That's why the word, Mist Dragon, came into being. At this time, it had been almost half a month since Wulong and the others left the village, and today, they finally appeared here, in front of the mountain gate of the Wulong sect. "Stop, what's coming? Who's coming?" A loud shout appeared. Two young, handsome, and powerful young men stood in front of them. Boom. What's even more frightening is that they all have a kind of physical spiritual energy that surrounds them, exuding an amazing sense of oppression and coercion. That feeling, it's like being pressed down by 100 kilograms of boulders, and it's even more uncomfortable. Is this the power of an immortal cultivator? Okay, it's so powerful. Wulong looked at the two young people with difficulty, his eyes full of brilliance and envy, but he was also uncomfortable, and his whole body seemed to be depressed. "I'm about to kneel down. Wu Wei from Tanling Hall, I have met two senior brothers." Master Wu Xian quickly lowered his head and said quickly, "These are the two new candidates I brought back. They have successfully awakened their spiritual apertures. I am planning to send them to the Lingqiao Pavilion." As he said that, he stretched out his hand again, and somehow, a token appeared out of thin air. "This is my identity token, brothers, please check it. New here," but the other party just glanced at him casually and said nothing. "Go in, thank you." Master Wu Xian nodded quickly. Then he took Sanzi and Wulong into the mountain gate. "Wu, Immortal Master Wu, are they our senior brothers from the Wulong sect? They are so powerful, I almost couldn't stand it just now." The third son couldn't help but say. "Of course." Master Wu Xian nodded and said, "The two just now are elite disciples of the patrol hall. They are very strong. You must know that to be able to enter the patrol hall, you need to practice Qi beyond the 5th level. The 5th level of Qi training. What is that? Lu Lin asked quickly. In fact, because he came from time travel, he is not unfamiliar with the terms Qi training realm, but he just doesn't know whether there is a big difference between this and the terms he understands. Or in addition to this Qi training, is there also some kind of golden elixir and nascent soul transformation? The 5th level of Qi training, that is the 5th small realm of Qi training. If you can reach that step. As he spoke, Master Wu Xian suddenly shook his head and laughed. Okay, don't be so ambitious. When you stay here at Wulongmen for a while, you will naturally know these things. Come on, I will take you to Lingqiao Pavilion. Not long after, the group of them crossed several mountains, and then came to an attic towering with purple bamboos everywhere. Elder Yu, I have brought the newcomers this time, and there are 2 more. Master Wu Xian said respectfully. At this time, opposite him was a skinny old man with a hairy head and wearing gray and white coarse linen clothes. 2. The latter was stunned for a moment, and then his face suddenly became happy. He smiled and said to Master Wu Xian, well done, 2 seedlings, you did a good job. You can go and get the 200 contribution points later. Just say it was me. Master Wu Xian suddenly looked happy and excited. Thank you, Elder Yu. Thank you, Elder Yu. Okay, you go down first. Elder Yu stood up, waved his hand and said, you have nothing to do from now on, leave it to me. Yes, Master Wu Xian turned around and left without hesitation. Sanzi and Lu Lin were left here. Don't be afraid, you 2 little kids. Once you awaken your spiritual aperture, you will already be qualified to become our Wulong sect's disciples. But next, I need to see what your qualifications are like, come with me. Elder Yu said kindly, then turned around and led the way towards the pavilion. Not long after, a gleaming stone appeared in front of them. The colorful lights above are lingering everywhere and sparkling, giving people a magical look. This is the soul-finding stone. I can accurately determine your qualification level, and if it can reach level 3 or above, then ha 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 ha. Okay, come on, let me see what your qualifications are like. You first. Elder Yu pointed his finger and landed on the 3rd son. The 3rd son suddenly felt excited, and then walked tremblingly in front of the spirit-detecting stone. Grandpa, what should I do? Just stretch out your hand and stick it to me. Don't worry, little baby, it's okay. Don't be nervous. Oh well, Sanzi swallowed, then stretched out his hand and placed it on the spirit-detecting stone, and the light suddenly shone. First it was orange-red, then cyan, and finally gold. The 3 colors were intertwined. Let's shine together. Elder Yu was stunned for a moment. Then I was suddenly pleasantly surprised. It's really the 3rd grade. Fire, wood, and gold 3-element spiritual orifice. It's a pity, it's a bit mixed, but it's actually the 3rd grade spiritual orifice. This is really good. What a genius. Genius. The 3rd son was stunned and couldn't help asking. Grandpa, I am a genius. Of course, the 3rd grade spiritual orifice, this is a top qualification that is rarely seen in decades. What's your name, little guy? Ha 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 ha, this is a 3rd grade spiritual orifice, this is of course a genius. Elder Yu laughed with a big face. Seemed very satisfied with this result, very excited. This also made Lu Lin a little envious. After all, he is not a real child, of course he can see that this so-called 3rd grade spiritual orifice is probably a very good, even top-notch cultivator's talent, otherwise, it would not make the other party so excited. I just don't know what my talent qualification is. 3rd grade, I should only be 1st grade, or 2nd grade. Lu Lin murmured in his heart. He knew very well that his spiritual awakening was completely due to countless spiritual grasses. So, his talent and aptitude would probably not be too high. And you, little kid, why don't you try it too? If another 3rd grade spiritual awakening can appear, that would be great. Come on, try it too. Elder Yu spoke again, pulling Lu Lin towards the spiritual exploration stone. Obviously, it was a hit. He already had great expectations for Lu Lin, and, let alone a 3rd grade spiritual awakening, even a 2nd grade one would be a double blessing. Unfortunately, when Lu Lin reached out his hand and touched the spiritual exploration stone, the surprise on his face froze, and then he became a little surprised and weird. Is this the 5 spiritual orifices of gold, wood, water, fire and earth? And it's only the 1st grade. This kid Muttering a few times, Elder Yu glanced at Lulin again. Then frowned, turned around directly, pulled the three sons beside him and began to chat enthusiastically. And seeing this scene, Lulin also shook his head and smiled bitterly. He was not stupid. From the other party's attitude, he basically understood. It seems that he is really not good, he is simply the worst one. The spiritual apertures of the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. It seems that this should be the worst. In other words, the more attribute spiritual apertures, the better. As for the first grade, this should also be the worst grade, which means it is still like this. My talents and qualifications are a bit of a mess. Lulin smiled bitterly in his heart. But at this moment, something was suddenly thrown towards him and hit him directly on the head. With a bang, he almost fell to the ground. Take it. At the same time, Elder Yu's voice came, indifferent and calm. This is your identity token. Keep it. From now on, this will be your certificate at our Wulongman. Remember, it is more important than your life. You must not lose it. After a pause, he shook his head again and said, your talent and qualifications are too poor, so you can only start as a handyman disciple. With your identity token, you can go to the main pavilion to receive basic training techniques. As for the rest, it's all up to you. After saying this, he turned around and left, took the 3 sons into the air and left here, flying up. Can you actually fly? Lulin suddenly opened his mouth, and his heart was filled with turmoil and shock. But after a moment, he couldn't help but sigh. It seems that it has been abandoned. The other party's attitude towards him and towards Sanzi are completely different concepts. So he naturally understood that he had been abandoned. But although he felt a little uncomfortable, he was not completely discouraged. After all, he still had his trump card. Touching the pendant around his neck, Lulin suddenly laughed. Haha, come on, let me see, is this rubbish talent more difficult, or is my external pendant more powerful? Rely on yourself, just rely on yourself, I can do it on my own too. A few hours later, Lulin, who left Lingqiao Pavilion, had already arrived in the valley of another mountain. Compared with the lonely Lingqiao Pavilion before, there are obviously many more buildings and people here, both in terms of pedestrians and various buildings. And here is where their Wulongman main pavilion is located. Why are you here alone, little baby? Who are you? Who asked you to come here? As I walked, a light suddenly rolled down in front of me. There was a buzzing sound, and at the same time, a sparkling fan floated down, and there was a very cute and beautiful woman on it. She is wearing pink clothes and her face is a little round, but she looks very cute. She is not bloated at all. She looks like a little steamed bun, bulging. It's just that although the other party is cute, Lulin feels a huge pressure on him that is even more intense and powerful than the 2 elite disciples of the patrol hall before. In other words, the opponent's strength is very powerful, even more powerful than the 5th level of Qi training. So he said quickly. He also took out his identity token. Hello, senior sister, I am a new disciple, and this is my identity token. I'm planning to head to the main pavilion to receive my cultivation techniques. New disciple. The other party was stunned for a moment. Then she said with a slight frown on her pretty eyebrows. Nonsense, why did you come here alone? What are those guys in Lingqiao Hall doing? Then she looked towards Lulin again and asked. What's your name, little guy? By the way, what's your talent? 1st grade or 2nd grade? Logically speaking, a new disciple should be assigned to a specific mountain range or hall entrance, right? Where were you assigned? Lulin smiled bitterly and said. Senior sister, I am a 1st grade spiritual aperture, and I seem to be the worst 5-element spiritual aperture of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, so Elder Yu said that I can only start as a handyman disciple. Ah, the other party was stunned for a moment, then his eyes widened and he looked at Lulin in surprise. Gold, the spiritual apertures of the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. You're not kidding me. Then he shook his head again and spoke again without waiting for Lulin to answer. No wonder, I didn't expect your talent to be so poor. However, to a certain extent, you can be considered a genius. After all, the 1st grade spiritual aperture of metal, wood, water, fire and earth, the 5th element, should be better than the earth spiritual aperture, or even isn't the Tianling Chao even rarer? Earth spirit aperture, Heaven Spirit Aperture. Senior Sister, what is that? Lu Lin couldn't help but ask. Generally speaking, your spiritual orifice attribute will determine your future training direction. For example, if you are in the water or fire system, then your training direction will be mainly the water or fire system. The same is true for other attributes. But the power of the 5 elements is mutually reinforcing and restraining. If the attribute powers are too complex to restrain each other, there will be many disadvantages. So the fewer attributes of the spiritual orifice, the better. If there is only one pure single attribute, it is the heavenly orifice. If there are 2 spiritual orifices, it is called the earthly orifice. As for your 5-element spiritual aperture, it also has another name, and that is the useless spiritual aperture. Because the 5-element power of the 5-element spiritual aperture is too messy, just sorting it out will take a lot of time. This will undoubtedly be a huge trouble for you. But that's okay. The main reason is that your talent and qualifications are too low. You're only at the first level, and you're still a disabled spirit aperture, which is equivalent to making it even more difficult. The other party explained. Dead spirit aperture. Lu Lin smiled bitterly, but he still bowed and thanked him immediately. I understand, thank you, senior sister, for explaining. I didn't know yet, but now I know. Don't tell me, this is indeed quite uncomfortable. Wasted spirit orifice. The name alone is obvious enough. It seems that this is indeed quite difficult. But it was hard to return, and life had to be passed, so he immediately spoke again. Thank you, senior sister, then I won't disturb you. I'm going to the main pavilion first. Etc. However, he didn't expect that the other party suddenly stopped him. Then he said softly, how about you go back with me? It just so happens that my master's medicine garden has someone to take care of it and has gone to the main pavilion. You can only be a handyman disciple. Come with me. Medicine garden. Lu Lin was stunned for a moment. Then he was shocked and looked at the other person in surprise. Teacher, is it true, senior sister? Can I really do that? The medicine garden, from what I heard, I knew it must be a place where spiritual herbs are grown. If he could go there, wouldn't his copying power be able to exert its fullest effect? For him, this is like pie in the sky. Let's go. You're such a pitiful little kid. You have a useless spiritual acuity. If you ask me, it's better not to have this thing at all. Oh, by the way, my name is Lin Shang. From now on, you can call me Senior Sister Lin. The other party shook his head, then turned around and left. After seeing this scene, Lu Lin immediately followed him without hesitation. This is his chance. He must catch it. Not long after, they came to a stone step halfway up the mountain. At the end of the stone steps, you can see a valley with green smoke. The valley is filled with a medicinal fragrance, which is refreshing and invigorating. Moreover, he could vaguely see a low attic, emitting an astonishing light. That dense green smoke, that is, coming out of the attic. Arrive, the senior sister said softly, and then walked over immediately. Old man, what are you doing? I'm back. Come out and welcome me. Welcome shit. Unexpectedly, a sound of cursing came from the attic, and then suddenly there was a flash of light, and a flying sword came and landed in front of them, shocking Lu Lin. Who is this little baby? Why, you went back and you gave birth to a baby. Isn't it right? It's only been a few years. It shouldn't be so soon, right? Why are you having a baby? You stinky old man, don't talk nonsense. If you can't speak, just shut up. This is our new disciple of Wulong sect. I thought he was pitiful, so I brought him back, and I will keep him here to guard him from now on. Medicine garden. Poor, why are you so pitiful? With a buzzing sound, the sword energy circulated on the edge of the sword, and finally turned into a villain. This scene made Lu Lin stunned. What is this? Are you a human? Bullshit. Can you, little kid, talk? What am I if I'm not a human being? The brat deserves to be beaten. The villain stood up, then raised his hand and waved, and the sword actually flew up. Hit Lu Lin hard on the head. With a bang, it hit him hard. Suddenly, Lu Lin covered her head with fear on her face. Don't dare to speak anymore. The smelly old man knows how to bully children, you are really. Lin Shang complained, and then said to Lu Lin. Xiao Linzi, this is my master, Master Ching Fang. Don't look at him as crazy, but he is a real foundation building expert. And he is also an alchemist. If you kid can please him, you might even be able to get him to teach you a few moves. That would make a lot of money. After finishing speaking, she immediately said to the villain in front of her, Master, I'm going to start seclusion and break through. This little guy will be left to you. I think he's quite pitiful. Don't bully him. Just leave him here as a handyman disciple, taking care of the medicine garden. After saying that, she jumped into the air and flew towards the attic not far away. At the same time, the villain also walked around the willow forest, and then asked with a wink. Little doll, what's wrong with you? Are you pitiful? Why don't I see how pitiful you are? Could it be that you are really the illegitimate son of that girl Lin Shang? Otherwise, why would he care so much about you? Tell me. Upon hearing this, Lu Lin also had a wry smile on his face, but he was also very nervous. Because, he has not forgotten the words Lin Shang said before, a strong foundation builder. The little man in front of me is actually the legendary foundation building expert. So he took a deep breath, then quickly stood up, bowed and said, Hello, Senior Ching Fang, I am Lu Lin, the new disciple who just started today. Senior Sister Lin and I really have nothing to do with each other. It's just because I am a first-grade useless spirit aperture, so. Before he finished speaking, the other party suddenly became surprised. First-grade useless spirit aperture. Seriously. Master Ching Feng's villain looked around Lu Lin several times, then slowly stopped, looked at Lu Lin with a strange expression and said, Then you are indeed quite pitiful. Suddenly Lu Lin's face twitched, wasn't it, as for that? But he didn't dare to refute, he could only smile bitterly in his heart. At this moment, Master Ching Feng suddenly said, Forget it, let's just go with the first-grade useless spirit aperture. I don't expect you to do anything anyway, so just kneel down. Lu Lin was stunned for a moment. Then he immediately knelt down. He kowtowed to Master Ching Feng more than 10 times in a row. Boom, 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 boom. Disciple Lu Lin, do you want to meet the master? Master, shut up, you have no right to call me master. You're just a handyman disciple, wait until one day you make me happy. Remember, don't talk nonsense in the future, or see how I deal with you. Master Ching Feng glared and said. After he finished speaking, he suddenly threw a black object out. If you look carefully, you can see that it is a book. This is a basic medicine book. I will give you a month to read and study the above content. From now on, you will take good care of the spiritual herbs in the medicine garden, but you can only start with the low-level medicine garden at the edge. Remember, if something goes wrong, what's the problem? Don't blame me for falling out. Teacher, Lu Lin quickly wanted to agree, but got stuck. Then he stuttered, Senior, don't worry, I will study seriously. Come with me. Master Ching Feng turned around and flew towards a medicine garden next to the attic. After a short time, a neat medicine field appeared in front of him. There, many kinds of spiritual herbs stand in the forest, filled with the fragrance of herbs. Moreover, Lu Lin looked closely and saw a lot of familiar things, the spirit grass. There are actually hundreds of them, which looks amazing. From now on, it is your job to water and fertilize every day, to repel insects and to ward off spirits. Spiritual herbs are very delicate, so you must not be careless. In addition, the medicine book also records all the spiritual herbs, remember the characteristics of the elixir, planting and maintenance matters, etc. You must not make any mistakes, otherwise, I will treat you like a medicine and turn it into ashes. Do you believe it? Master Ching Feng said viciously. Lu Lin suddenly felt excited all over and nodded quickly. Don't worry, Senior, I will be careful and nothing will go wrong. Then Master Ching Feng threw him a token. Take this thing. With it, everyone will know that you are mine. It can be regarded as giving you an identity. Okay, do you have any questions? If you have anything, please tell me. Lu Lin hesitated for a moment. Then he said with courage. Senior, what about my cultivation method? Can I still cultivate in the future? Cultivate, ha ha ha, you stinky boy, you are just a useless spiritual orifice, and you still want to cultivate. Don't make me laugh to death. Master Ching Feng laughed, but soon stopped. At the same time, he glanced at Lu Lin, and then there was another flash of light, and a tattered book appeared in front of him out of thin air. Forget it, take it. What a blockhead. You won't give up until you reach the Yellow River. Then you try it. This is the 5 spirits moving technique. It is not the traditional practice method of our Wulongmen. However, you are a 5-element waste spirit, so this thing should be more suitable for you. Take it and practice, but remember it. If you have any problems, solve them yourself. Don't ask me, I don't know. Do you understand? Humph. With a cold snort, Fang Shangren turned into a flash of light and sank into the long sword, then flew into the sky and returned to the attic. Not only that, at the same time, a porcelain pill bottle actually fell from the sky. It fell in front of him. By the way, there are some Qi gathering pills in the bottle, which can help you speed up the efficiency of Qi training and Qi gathering. Improve the speed of cultivation. Before you reach the 4th level of Qi training, these little things can be of some use, so you can use them. When you break through to the 4th level, come back to me. Lu Lin was completely excited and knelt down to thank him excitedly. Thank you, Master, thank you, I won't let you down. And this time, Master Fang didn't refute, or he had walked away and didn't hear it. And this time, Lu Lin really realized that although the other party was not forgiving, he was really a good person. Otherwise, how could a powerful foundation building master need to be so good to him, a little kid? This is a cultivation method and a pill. It's really a great favor. Then I will work hard next. Lu Lin murmured. Then he immediately took the medicine book given to him by Master Fang, opened it, and studied it carefully. Although he has absolute confidence in taking care of the spiritual herbs and elixirs. Because it can be copied, even if the caretaker dies, the others can still live, so this must be no problem. But he still plans to study hard. First, because this is knowledge and it is useful. The second reason is that, unless absolutely necessary, he must not expose the existence of the copying ability now. Otherwise, you really deserve to die. As for cultivation, the future is long. Anyway, his talent and qualifications are already ridiculously low, so it will only take a few years. It's definitely not too late for him to get used to it first, find a suitable opportunity, and then slowly plan to practice. So next, he started to work in this medicine garden, holding the medicine book and studying it carefully. In this way, time passed quickly, and soon it was already a month later. On this day, in the medicine garden, Lu Lin had already begun to make preliminary attempts to take care of and maintain the spiritual herbs and elixirs in the medicine garden. It has to be said that although his cultivation talent and qualifications are very poor, his potential regarding the elixir seems to be really good. Whether it is the study of the contents in the medicine manual or the actual results, everything went very smoothly for him. This also made Lu Lin himself, and even Master Fang. They were all very surprised by this. I didn't expect it at all. Tisk, tisk, I didn't expect you, a little devil, to be quite interesting. Those elm-headed people before were either stupid or stupid, but you are quite clever. Yes, do it well for me. As long as you can take good care of these babies of mine, you will not lose the benefits. Master Fang said. As soon as he said this, Lu Lin rolled his eyes and asked, Senior, can you teach me how to make alchemy? Alchemy, you. Master Fang glanced sideways at Lu Lin, seeming a little disgusted. But I don't blame him. After all, refining alchemy is much more difficult than practicing cultivation. There is a normal probability that one person among 10,000 people can successfully awaken his spiritual orifice, but there is not necessarily a single alchemist among 1 million people. This is also a normal probability. But then he thought about it. It seems like this kid is indeed a little evil. So I just let it slide. Take it. He tossed it casually. A few volumes were thrown out, falling in front of Lu Lin. Introduction to Spiritual Herbs and Spiritual Medicines. Initial Interpretation of Alchemy. Alchemy Encyclopedia. If you want to learn, just try. But don't dream about refining alchemy or anything like that. Your cultivation level is not high enough. At the very least, you have to practice the 4th level of Qi. And, he changed the topic and looked at Lu Lin, squinting his eyes lightly and said, Besides, if you are really talented, you will have the answer in your heart in a few years. You don't need me to tell you this. Thank you, Master. Lu Lin was overjoyed and knelt down to thank her. What master? I told you, I am not your master. In the next few years, I will also be in seclusion, so you should read these books by yourself first. I give you the opportunity. Whether you succeed or not is up to you. As fate. Leave your fate to fate. No one can help you. Master Ching Fang said calmly, and then left gracefully. Only Lu Lin remained kneeling on the spot, and then slowly stood up. At the same time, he smiled excitedly, ecstatic. Great, with these alchemy books, I can start practicing. My own family knows their own affairs. He understands that his biggest problem now is that his talent and qualifications are too poor. Even if he starts practicing forcibly, he will never go far. Therefore, he must find other shortcuts to assist him in his cultivation. And this shortcut, his ideal is alchemy. As long as he can become an alchemist, he can rely on elixirs to achieve breakthroughs. And most importantly, his copying ability can also infinitely copy those treasures of heaven and earth. In other words, compared to others, he will have the huge advantage of unlimited alchemy materials. In this way, he firmly believes that he can definitely fly, because practice makes perfect. This can definitely help him become a top alchemist. This will help him break through and become stronger faster and better. It's a pity that my copying ability doesn't seem to be able to copy acquired products. Otherwise it would be even more perfect. Lu Lin murmured with some pity. He had experimented with his copying ability a long time ago, and finally concluded that his copying ability can only copy natural items, such as spiritual herbs, elixirs, metal materials, etc. However, other things that are man-made products cannot be copied. So he can only copy the magical herbs and elixirs. Refining it into finished elixir yourself and then using it. But no matter what, this is already very good. After all, if there is really a steady stream of pills to help him achieve breakthroughs, it will be a complete cheat. There is no one like him. So in the following days, Lu Lin also began to feel at ease and began to study those alchemy books seriously. Time flies, and 5 years have passed. During these 5 years, while he focused on those alchemy books, he also began to secretly copy spiritual herbs and tried to refine Qi training pills. As one of the most basic pills among all the pills, Qi training pills are not worth mentioning in the world of the entire cultivator. Not only are the materials simple, but the difficulty is also the lowest. Alchemy requires fire. For cultivators, it is either ground fire or their own alchemy fire. But he can't do it. He hasn't been able to get started with cultivation yet, so he can only try firewood or charcoal fire to refine pills. But the firewood and charcoal fire are mottled, the flames are very mixed, and it is extremely difficult to control. It can be said to be the worst choice. But no matter what, hard work pays off. After trying more and getting used to it, practice makes perfect. Perhaps it is because this Qi training pill is very simple. After the first successful pill, it was only 2 or 3 months. Lu Lin's refining of this Qi training pill was already smooth and even advanced. The success rate is as high as more than 80%. Therefore, the next thing is of course to practice. Everything is ready. He also began to study the 5 spirits moving technique. You don't know until you see it. You will be shocked when you see it. This technique is actually a top-level foundation building technique. If you can practice it completely, it will be enough to break through to the foundation building realm. Become a foundation building master. Such a handicraft, this kind of thing really made him a little surprised. But later, he seemed to know why. This is because this technique was created specifically for a useless spiritual cultivator like him. In addition, no one can practice it at all. Also, perhaps because it is in line with the relationship of useless spiritual orifices. The difficulty of practicing this 5 spirits moving technique is also extremely high. Very difficult. First of all, it actually requires the simultaneous opening of 5 spiritual orifices. Under normal circumstances, everyone has 1 spiritual orifice. At this time, even if there are multiple spiritual orifices, one will choose one and choose the attribute direction that suits him best. But this technique is different. It needs to open up 5 spiritual orifices at the same time, and accommodate the 5 attributes of gold, wood, water, fire and earth, and then rotate and transfer them to each other, which is called transportation. In this case, it is even more conceivable how difficult it is to practice this technique. It is not an exaggeration to say that it is at least dozens of times, or even hundreds of times. Perhaps because of this, maybe Master Fang did not expect him to succeed in practicing this 5 spirits transportation technique, or maybe no one has succeeded at all, so he gave it to him so generously, right? Of course, it is not entirely true. Because what if there are only 4 spiritual apertures, or 3, 2, or even 1? It's not impossible. That works too. However, the fewer the number of spiritual orifices, the weaker the power of this technique will be. If there were only 1 or 2 spiritual apertures, it might be almost the same as those basic ordinary cultivation techniques. Therefore, the limitations of this technique are obviously very large. Either it's difficult or it's weak. Very low cost performance. But having said that, this was still an unexpected surprise for him. Because if others can't do it, then it's someone else. He can definitely do it. Aren't they just 5 spiritual orifices? Taking drugs. Oh no, taking weed will be the end of it. After figuring out the secret of the 5 spirit transport technique, Lulin began to take a large amount of Ti Ling Sao to open up new spiritual orifices. But the result was a bit of a slap in the face. Because it has little effect. Especially after the second spiritual aperture was successfully opened, his spiritual herbs were completely useless, which made him feel very discouraged. Sure enough, it still didn't go that smoothly. The dignified foundation building technique is indeed quite difficult. But he soon found a solution. That is a very rare awakening elixir recorded in the 5 spirits transport technique, the 5 spirit pills. Wulong, as the name suggests. The effect is that it can help him absorb the 5 elements of spiritual energy and open the 5 spiritual orifices. However, the difficulty of refining this thing is more than 1.5 times more difficult than that of the Qi training pill, and it is completely several times more difficult. So for Lulin, it's a big challenge. After all, he has neither elixir fire nor earth fire. He can only rely on firewood and charcoal fire, which is equivalent to a small horse pulling a cart. It is really difficult. But fortunately, he has a big advantage, and that is the ability to copy. Under the cultivation of countless 5 spirit elixir alchemy materials. It's like putting food in his mouth. In this way, the more times you use it, the faster you will succeed, and even more practice makes perfect. And fed by these countless 5 spirit pills, he finally got his wish and successfully opened up the 5 spiritual orifices. A successful breakthrough to the first level of Qi training. Finally successful, Qi training reaches the first level. Is this what it feels like to be an immortal? It's indeed completely different. This feels so comfortable. Ha ha ha. Lulin laughed excitedly. Counting the days, it has been 5 years since he came to Wulongman, even though he was just a small Qi practitioner at the first level after 5 years. But he knew that it would be soon. First of all, he has a large inventory of Qi training pills. As long as the elixirs are enough, why don't you cultivate your level and reach higher levels? Secondly, as long as his cultivation level goes up, he will also enter a period of rapid development. A virtuous cycle is formed, so his subsequent growth in strength must be visible to the naked eye, and he will usher in an explosive period. Climbing high and looking far, even rising up and soaring into the sky, these are all just around the corner. By the way, I don't know if I can use Dan fire now. Lulin murmured in his heart. Although I have long been proficient in the alchemy skills of charcoal fire and firewood. But he has been thinking about Danha for a long time. Because, whether it is the power of fire, the effect of alchemy, difficulty, scope of application, etc. The cost-effectiveness and practical value of elixir fire are far ahead of those of charcoal fire and firewood. If he could use elixir fire now, it would definitely improve his alchemy strength a lot. And Dan fire is both a tool and a weapon. If this is used well, it can also become a powerful weapon, so he is really greedy. So he immediately started experimenting. Try to induce elixir fire. Output flame. As a result, as if there was no difficulty at all, there was a muffled bang, and a colorful flame suddenly appeared in front of him, burning brightly. As soon as this scene occurs, Lulin was stunned for a moment. No, is it that simple? According to those books, the first level of Qi training is too weak, and the elixir fire is not powerful enough. It is difficult to form a shaped flame, let alone use it to refine elixirs. It is simply impossible. Under normal circumstances, one should at least be at the 4th level of Qi training in order to maintain the basic consumption of elixir fire, so that it can be used to refine elixirs. But, if that's the case, what's going on now? Is he a fake 1st level Qi practitioner? No, I understand. Is it because of the 5 spirit transport technique? Lu Lin murmured, and an idea flashed through his mind, the 5 spirit transport technique. Although this technique is very difficult, it is also very powerful. He has now successfully broken through to the 1st level of Qi training with the 5 spiritual apertures. So, maybe that's why. Does this make him completely different from other ordinary cultivators? Is there a big gap? Can the 1st level of Qi training be as good as the 4th level of Qi training? It is indeed a foundation building technique. It seems to be really awesome. It's really awesome. Lu Lin smiled with a smile on his face, and then began to familiarize himself with and practice his elixir. Get on fire. Now that we have this elixir fire, of course, there is no need for those charcoal-fired or firewood-fired bicycles. Once he gets familiar with and masters alchemy, from now on, he will be the real deal. He is no longer the genuine alchemist he used to be. Ha ha ha. So in the following days, Lu Lin began to practice seriously again, and became proficient in Danha. But the good days of such gods did not last long. But it was suddenly broken. On this day, Lu Lin was just about to refine some Qi training pills to take when a surprised voice suddenly came from behind him. Are you the little doll you were a few years ago? Lu Lin was stunned for a moment, turned around and found that it was senior sister Lin Chengelin. The other party's appearance is almost the same as 5 years ago. Even his appearance seems to be the same. He is dressed in pink clothes and has a bun. Very cute. But the aura of the other party's cultivation level. But it's really scary. The 11th level of Qi training. He didn't know it before, but he knows it now. Is the other party actually so powerful? She is actually a top expert in the 11th level of Qi training. There was a burst of emotion and surprise in my heart. But he said quickly and respectfully, Senior Sister Lin, long time no see. Congratulations on your successful escape. Did you successfully break through? Is it really you? I didn't expect you to be so old after not seeing each other for a few years. But it's also true that you were only a few years old back then. You should be in your teens now, right? Lin Shang sighed. The Lu Lin he saw before was just an 8 or 9-year-old child, wearing rags and skinny bones. Perhaps it was because of this that she felt kind-hearted and felt pity for him. Bring him back. But now everything has changed. Now Lu Lin is like the rising sun. Not only has he grown up, he is much taller, and his appearance and temperament are also much more handsome. He looks like a young and handsome boy. Yes, Senior Sister Lin, I am already 14 years old this year. Lu Lin also felt a little emotional. Time is not forgiving. Although I am only a teenager, it has been more than 5 years. In any case, this is not a small number. This time is really not short. Are you making alchemy? Lin Chong glanced at the traces of the elixir beside him and asked suddenly. As soon as he said this, Lu Lin was stunned for a moment, and then his expression became unnatural. It's like I've been caught. Somewhat embarrassing. Me, yes, Senior Sister Lin, I am refining alchemy. I have been studying for a long time, so I want to give it a try. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw Lin Shang flying down, walking to his side, reaching out his hand, picking up the Qi training pills, looking at them, and then said in surprise. Smooth and crystal clear, soft and clear, this is at least the quality of a top-grade elixir. Did you make these Qi training pills? Lu Lin sighed inwardly. Unexpectedly, I happened to be caught. But I could only nod and admit it. I'm sorry, Senior Sister Lin, for making you laugh. I just gave it a try, just a try. Okay, don't fight me here. I didn't ask you anything, but I didn't expect that you are actually a genius in alchemy. Lin Shang tried to take a look at Lu Lin. Then he put down the Qi training pill in his hand and said calmly. The medicinal herbs and elixirs in the medicine garden are all recorded. Remember not to forget to return them. Although they are just small things, if you are caught, you will not be able to afford it. Lu Lin was stunned for a moment. Then he nodded immediately. It's Senior Sister Lin, thank you. I understand. But Lin Shang suddenly shook his head and said, forget it, judging from your proficiency, this probably isn't the first time you've done this. You should understand this. I'm too lazy to care about you, you can take care of yourself. In addition, although you do have some talent in alchemy, no matter what, you still have to focus on cultivation, and the realm of cultivation should be the most important thing. Look at you, it's been 5 years, and you've only just practiced Qi to the first level. Even if you have a useless spirit aperture, this is too slow and too weak. This won't work, come on. Aware of the other person's concern, Lu Lin also felt warm in her heart and was a little moved. Then he nodded immediately. Wrote, Senior Sister Lin, don't worry, I will work hard to practice next, and I will never let your Senior Ching Fang down. As long as you know. Lin Shang nodded, and then asked again. By the way, where is my master? Isn't he here? Senior Ching Fang is still in retreat. He probably hasn't come out yet. Oh, is it so? Lin Chang's eyes flashed, and then he nodded. Okay, I get it, let's do it. After saying that, she immediately flashed and stepped on the cute pink fan. With a bang, she flew into the sky in the mist and left here gracefully. Lu Lin looked envious. That should be a cultivator's magic weapon, right? It can actually fly. How amazing. I don't know when I can get one. Or, how about I try to refine it myself? Theoretically speaking, alchemy requires alchemy materials, weapon refining materials, so they are indeed similar. Practice makes perfect. As long as he can copy a large amount of weapon refining materials and practice unlimited times. So for him, refining weapons is definitely not a big problem. Even, most of it is easy, just like alchemy. It's just that he doesn't have this opportunity yet. But it doesn't matter anymore. As long as he can survive and climb up slowly. There must be plenty of opportunities, and he can afford to wait. So don't rush. The following days began to become calm again, because the senior sister Lin Chong, who had just broken through and escaped, had left, looking in a hurry, not knowing what she was going to do. Master Qingfang is still in retreat. Not even a bit of movement or reaction. So in this huge valley, he is the only one whose busy movements and traces every day. From taking care of the magical herbs and elixirs in the medicine garden. From the routine of copying and refining Qi training pills, to taking the pills and practicing daily. As expected, his training speed this time was as if he had stepped on a rocket. It just started to rise sharply. In less than half a year, his cultivation level soared, reaching the 4th level of Qi training. We're finally here, the 4th level of Qi training. Now my cultivation level strength is finally a little bit more noticeable. Lu Lin murmured, feeling a little emotional in his heart. Counting the time, it has been almost 5.5 years. From the introduction of elixirs, to alchemy, to Qi training pills, 5 spiritual pills, 5 spiritual orifices, and now the 4th level of Qi training. Although this journey was long and lonely, fortunately, he still succeeded in achieving results. All of this has been successfully put on track. I don't know what my current strength is. How is it? Can it be as strong as those former patrol hall disciples? It should be about the same. Lu Lin murmured. Although he is only at the 4th level of Qi training now, he certainly cannot be measured by the strength of ordinary 4th level Qi training. After all, such a powerful foundation building technique, the 5 spirit transport technique, is no joke. If he practices Qi for half a year and reaches the next level of strength. If he can really be compared with those ordinary 4th level Qi practitioners, then his current actual combat power must be at least the 6th level Qi practitioner, or even the 7th level warrior, right? How about giving it a try? There was some emotion in Lu Lin's eyes. As a foundation building technique, the 5 spirit transfer technique is of course not just a simple practice technique. In fact, this technique also contains many coordinated low-level, intermediate and advanced spells. Especially with his current 5 spiritual apertures in their most perfect state, he can definitely exert their most powerful and perfect power. When I think of these, he felt even more anxious in his heart. Then give it a try. After struggling for so long, now it's time to learn some powerful spells to have fun. Make up your mind and your heart and do whatever you want to do. Lu Lin immediately took out the original copy of the 5 spirit transport technique and began to study the supporting spells recorded above. To the end, his eyes were fixed on 3 spells. They are 5 Dragon Spin, 5 Dragon Spirit Shield, and the 5 Spirits Flying Escape. Wulong's, as the name suggests, it is to use the power of the 5 elements of spiritual energy from the 5 spiritual orifices of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth to cultivate the power of the 5 elements of the 5 dragons. This is the most powerful attack method in the entire 5 spirit transport technique. Once the cultivation is successful, the most powerful power can even easily obliterate the foundation building experts. You can imagine what this concept is. Of course, it was only at its peak that it had such power. Under normal circumstances, when you first get started, you can only show your power in the late or mid stage of Qi training. Secondly, 5 Dragon Spiritual Shield. This is a defensive magical power, and its entire core and principle are similar to the 5 Dragon Spin, which requires the power of the 5 elements of the spiritual energy of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth to cultivate the power of the 5 elements of the 5 dragons. Then convert it into Dragon Shield Defense. And not only that. In addition, the third 5 Spirit Flying Escape magic power is also the same. This is an extremely fast 5-element escape method. Once it reaches its peak, even in the entire foundation building realm, it will be at the first-class level and it will be almost impossible to catch up. And these 3 major magical powers. It completely covers the 3 major aspects of attack, defense and escape, forming a perfect iron triangle. If one could truly master it, it would not be an exaggeration to say that one would be the overlord even among the powerful foundation builders. He can be considered a well-known figure, right? It seems that the value of this 5-spirit transportation technique is even higher than I thought before. And why do I feel that there is even a follow-up behind this 5-spirit transport technique? Lu Lin thought about it in his heart, but didn't dwell on it. Instead, he set his sights on the 5 Dragon Spin, the 5 Dragon Spirit Shield, and the 5 Spirit Flying Shield. Those 3 magical powers were activated. Because he knew that if nothing unexpected happened, these things should be his main means of escaping and saving his life in battle for a long time to come, as well as his main direction of attack. But it seems that these 3 spells have a very unified core point. Is that the power of the 5 dragons? Lu Lin's eyes flickered. The so-called power of the 5 dragons is of course not the real power of the dragon clan. Rather, it refers to the 5 series of spiritual energy among the 5 spiritual orifices. And only when these 5 lines of spiritual energy have grown to their peak and strongest. I'm afraid that's what qualifies you to be called the 5 dragons, right? And the fact is, this is indeed the case. After Lu Lin carefully studied the methods of practicing these magical powers, he realized that in order to form the power of the 5 dragons, he must first condense and transform the 5 elements of spiritual energy in the 5 spiritual apertures in his body into a higher level form. That form is called 5 Dragon Soul. From entry to the top, these 5 dragon souls are divided into 5 levels, namely white, gray, orange, red and gold. Among them, the first 2 levels correspond to the realm of Qi training, and the last 3 levels correspond to the realm of foundation building. The 5 Dragon Spin has the lowest starting price. Only the white level 5 dragon spirits are needed to display and use spell attacks, while the other 2 magical powers, the 5 Dragon Spirit Shield and the 5 Spirit Flying Escape, are more demanding. The minimum requirement for the 5 Dragon Spirit Shield is the gray 5 Dragon Spirit Soul, which belongs to the 2nd level. The minimum requirement for 5 Spirits Flying Escape is the orange 5 Dragon Spirits, which is even higher and belongs to the 3rd level. In other words, the key point still lies in the 5 Dragon Souls, right? Lu Lin murmured, then continued to study. Since we want to condense the 5 Dragon Souls, what should we do? Soon, he found the answer. Are the 5 elements systems heavenly materials and earthly treasures, or should they be practiced in conjunction with the 5 spiritual pills? According to the 5 spirit transfer technique, if you want to condense the 5 dragon souls, there are roughly 2 directions. The first is the treasures of heaven, materials and earth. If one can obtain the treasures of heaven, materials and earth with the attributes of the 5 elements, and rely on their power, one can condense them into 5 dragon souls one by one. At the same time, this is also the simplest but also the most difficult method. Why simple? Because once and for all, the success rate is the highest when the great effect of the heavenly materials and earthly treasures reaches the standard. Theoretically, only 5 heavenly materials and earthly treasures can be condensed into the 5 dragon souls among the 5 spiritual orifices. In this case, of course it is the fastest and simplest. But why is it also the most difficult? It's also very simple. This is because, in order to successfully condense the 5 dragon souls, it also requires the great effect of heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Under normal circumstances, even the lower-level Qi training realm heavenly materials and earthly treasures are not enough. To start, you must have top-notch Qigong training realm heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Even if you can have foundation building realm heavenly materials and earthly treasures, then of course it is the best. Yes. To be honest, this is about money and Krypton gold. If you have no money or identity, you will definitely not be able to get these things, so this is also the most difficult. Then the second direction, 5 spirit pills. To successfully condense into the core of the 5 dragon spiritual soul, it is nothing more than an evolutionary breakthrough of the 5 elements of spiritual Qi. Of course, the 5 spiritual pills, which also possess the pure power of the 5 elements of spiritual Qi, can also do this. But the problem is that 1 or 2 definitely won't work. Even 10 or 100 won't work. A conservative estimate is that if you want to successfully condense the 5 dragon spirits with the 5 spirit pills, it will cost at least 1,000. Even thousands of 5 spirit pills are needed to prepare the foundation. This is a big project and the consumption is huge. It's like a drop of water piercing the stone. But I also use money to wear it. After all, if you don't have money, you won't be able to get so many 5 spirit pills. But after seeing this, Lu Lin couldn't help but feel a little happy. 5 spiritual pills, isn't this thing just a hand, and you can have as many as you want? Ha ha ha, now that's it, there's no problem. For him, let alone the heavenly and earthly treasures in the foundation building realm, even those in the Qi training realm are difficult. He has no connections and no channels. Even if he has a bunch of Qi training pills and 5 spiritual pills, he doesn't dare to sell them. If something goes wrong and he is targeted, it will be great fun. There's no way he could do such a stupid thing. But this 5 spiritual pills are different. Hundreds or thousands. That's all trivial. As long as he wants, he can have as much as he wants. Okay, in this way, the next goal can be set. First of all, these 5 dragon souls must be condensed as soon as possible. Secondly, I have to find new pills for cultivation that will be needed in the future. It's over. After breaking through to the 4th heaven, the Qi training pill will definitely be of no use. Qi training pills are only the most basic pills for immortal cultivators, even those in the Qi training realm. Therefore, after reaching the 4th level of Qi training, the Qi training pill will definitely be of no use. Next, he has to change the pill. But he wasn't worried about that. After all, if it is only for the middle stage of Qi training, or even for the later stage of elixir, it should not be uncommon in this Wulongman. If you really want to look for it, you will definitely find it. And if it doesn't work, the fox pretends to be the tiger's power. This should also work. After all, don't forget that the identity token given to him by Master Ching Fang is still with him. As an elder who is a powerful foundation builder, he definitely has this face. Just do it. Lu Lin simply left the medicine garden and walked out of Qingfang Mountain. After many years, he finally decided to go out and take a look. Long lost freedom. Walking in the mountains and forests, Lu Lin felt that breathing was beautiful. His face was full of smiles. Although he had been hiding in the medicine garden of Master Qingfang for these years and no one forced him, he was still a little lacking in confidence, so he lacked freedom and even felt a little timid. All the guilty conscience and lack of confidence came from his weak strength. Although there was a hang, he was really afraid before. He was afraid of death. But now, his cultivation level has broken through to the 4th level of Qi training. He should have some self-protection power now. So, this also gave him some sense of security. He felt a little more comfortable in his heart. Soon, he passed through the mountains and came to the main pavilion where he had left in a hurry. The main pavilion is located on the core main mountain range of the entire Wulongman. So this is also the most lively, magnificent and widest place in the entire Wulongman. Here, there is a main pavilion directly under the sect, which governs everything, and there is also a trading market built privately between disciples and disciples, etc. In short, no matter what the problem is. As long as you come here, it will definitely be right. Just walking on the road, there were some people coming in front. Lu Lin heard some noteworthy information from their conversation. Hey, those scums of the Blood Spirit sect have become more and more arrogant recently. I heard that the task force of more than 10 people from the Yanyu sect was ambushed and killed by them some time ago. It's really tragic. Yes, I know about this, and do you know? The leader of the Yanyu sect is their core disciple Wei Chang. He is in the 11th level of Qi training, but even he died. The Yanyu sect is really furious about this, and they are very angry. Hiss. Wei Chang, one of the 3 core members of the Yanyu sect. No way, even he is dead. Those rubbish of the Blood Spirit sect are crazy, right? In this case, how could the Yanyu sect let them go? HMPH. What are they afraid of? They all have the courage to start a war with our 5 major forces. How can they be afraid of a mere Yanyu sect? And it's not just them, our Wulong sect almost had a problem some time ago. What is the problem? Have you forgotten about senior brother Lin Howlin? In the battle at Nanlong Mountain, he was attacked by several core disciples of the Blood Spirit sect. He almost had an accident. If the support team led by senior sister Lin Sheng hadn't been fast enough to save him, I'm afraid something would have gone badly wrong. Tisk, it's true. I heard that just because of this incident, senior brother Lin Hao was driven back and locked up to prevent him from leaving. Hey, of course, you must know that he is the only super genius in our Wulong sect in recent years, a 3rd grade spiritual acuity. If something happens to him, the loss will be too great. Talking and talking, several people walked away. However, Lu Lin, who was behind them, frowned slightly. Eyes full of surprise. Lin Hao, isn't that the 3rd son? That's right, the 3rd son of the village chief's family, whose real name is Lin Hao. And more importantly, the 3rd grade spiritual aperture is even more correct. Blood Spirit sect, 5 major forces. Are you going to start a war? It seems that the situation outside is a bit chaotic, right? To be able to fight against powerful forces like 5 Wulong sects at the same time, one can imagine that the so-called Blood Spirit sect should be a more terrifying dragon crossing the river, right? He silently recorded the name in his heart. Blood Spirit Gate. Although he is now hiding in Wulong Gate, he probably won't go out and ask for trouble in the short term, but there will still come a time. It is absolutely right to memorize this intelligence information early, and it will only do him good and not bad. Soon, he arrived at the market trading area near the main pavilion. This is a market area where Wulongmen disciples gathered spontaneously. There are street stalls and specialized shops here. It can be said that everything is available. And his goal is also very simple, that is Danfang. Alchemy formulas for those above the 4th level of Qi training, or even in the middle and late stages of Qi training. As soon as I came here, he locked the target. Is this Wangyan pill? Squat down along a stall in front of you. Lu Lin picked up a small bottle of elixir on the stall and looked at it. Huang Yun pill was recorded in the elixir book given to him by Master Ching Fang before. It belongs to the elixir of the middle stage of Qi training, covering the range from the 4th to 7th heavens. The main product is a simple material, and the difficulty of refining is also very simple, but relatively speaking, the effect is also very average, which belongs to the popular type of mid-stage Qi training elixir. Junior brother has a good eye. There are 9 small bottles of Wangyan pills in total. The price is 20 low-grade spiritual stones, or 10 contribution points, whichever is fine. But I don't accept bargaining, the stall owner said with a smile. Lu Lin pondered for a moment and asked, do you sell Danfang? As soon as these words came out, the other party was stunned for a moment. Danfang, that's right. Are the pills for sale? If so, how about 200 pieces of low-grade spiritual stones? Lu Lin looked at the other party and said, Junior brother, are you kidding me? But the other party looked a little strange, and looked at Lu Lin and stopped talking. What's the meaning? Lu Lin frowned and said with some doubts. Can't this thing be sold? Of course. The other party nodded without hesitation. Then he pointed at the tall and majestic 5-story attic not far away, said. It seems that you are still a newcomer and don't understand anything. Danfang is contraband in our Wulongmen and cannot be bought or sold privately. If you want it, you can only go there. The main pavilion. It can only be found there, And where do you get the pills in your hands? Do you understand? Lu Lin was stunned for a moment, then bowed to the stall owner in front of him and thanked him. Thank you, senior brother, for clarifying my doubts. Thank you. So that's it, did you go back after detouring for a long time? Headquarters. Lu Lin's eyes flickered, but he still got up and walked towards the main pavilion, ready to give it a try. However, at this moment, a surprised voice suddenly came from behind him. Are you Lu Lin, brother Lin? Lu Lin was stunned for a moment, then turned around and looked. He saw a group of people looking at him from a distance on the other side of the road not far away. And more importantly, the leader at the front of them looks familiar. The man was wearing a blue robe. He had a handsome appearance and a good temperament. Especially he didn't look too old. He should be just like him, only in his teens. However, this is not the point. The point is the powerful and astonishing aura power emanating from the other party. That is actually the 10th level of Qi training. At the same time, the brief silence also caused some small but clear sounds of surprise and whispers coming from the side. Senior brother Lin. Yes, it's really him. The Great Elder's direct successor. The strongest core successor that has emerged in recent years. Moreover, he is also the current genius of our Wulong sect, senior brother Lin Howlin. Lin Hao. Lu Lin's eyes fluctuated, then he asked tentatively towards the other party. Are you the third son? Presumptuous, came a scolding voice. Before Lin Hao could finish speaking, another guy next to him started scolding him. He was furious at Lu Lin. Who are you? Who are you, senior brother Lin? If you dare to talk nonsense again, believe it or not, I will smash your mouth to pieces. Apologize. As soon as these words came out, Lu Lin's expression suddenly changed, and he looked at the other party with an ugly expression. At the same time, Lin Hao also spoke. Wang Lan, shut up. Did I ask you to speak? I'm sorry, senior brother Lin. The guy called Wang Lan suddenly shrank his head and retreated. At the same time, Lin Hao also took steps towards Lu Lin. Brother Lin, we haven't seen each other for more than 5 years, right? I heard that you went to Elder Qingfang's Qingfang Mountain. How have you been these past few years? As he spoke, he stretched out his hand, took out a few pills from the storage bracelet on his wrist, and said politely. This is a few golden cloud pills. Especially in the middle stage of Qi training, these are very good pills. Brother Lin, please take it and use it first. After a while, I will ask someone to send some to you. Quote. After hearing this, Lu Lin was silent for a moment, and then he also laughed. There's no need for the pills. I don't usually need so many on Qingfang Mountain. And you see, I'm only practicing the 4th level of Qi right now, so it's still early. Thank you for your kindness, but no need. Brother Lin, are you being polite to me? No need to be so polite, just take it. However, Lin Hao directly handed the elixir in his hand to Lu Lin, and then smiled again and said. Brother Lin, I still need to go to the main pavilion to submit a task, so I'll take the first step. Oh, by the way, if anything happens in the future, just come to me directly. After all, we are fellow villagers who came out of that small mountain village together. Do I still remember my grandfather's words? We must be more united. I'm leaving. Chapter 11. After saying this, Lin Hao took the lead and turned away. After he left, the other people who followed him also turned around and left silently behind him. When seeing this scene, Lu Lin was silent for a long time, and then he picked up the Jinyudan in his arms and looked at it again, then shook his head again, sighing. Sure enough, things have changed, and there is no way back to the past. This kid, everything has changed. Was the other party's attitude towards him very good? It was very good, but it was strange because it was too good. It was not just a simple estrangement, but perfunctory. It was completely a superficial article. Sending pills. If he really had this intention, what would he have done earlier? To put it bluntly, it was nothing more than those 4 words, background identity. The other party mentioned a sentence, Qingfang Master, Qingfang Mountain. Obviously, this was because he went to Qingfang Mountain. Obviously, this was because Qingfang Master's identity as a foundation-building strongman played a role. But he didn't want to blame the other party for anything. Because this is the reality, it is human nature. As it should be. In just over 5 years, the other party has become the core of the sect, the disciple of the Great Elder, and a top-level expert in the 10th level of Qi training. What about him? He is only a mere 4th level of Qi training. To put it bluntly, they are no longer people from the same world. At least from the other party's perspective, it is indeed the case. So this is the right reality. But having said that, this sudden reality still made him feel uncomfortable and depressed. Forget it, I won't go today, let's go back first. Shaking his head, Lu Lin turned and left here, heading back to Qingfeng Mountain. As for the pill formula, he was not in a hurry. Anyway, he just knew the general pavilion. Wait until he is in a good mood to go there. It doesn't matter if he waits for 1 or 2 days. It doesn't matter. It's just that when he just returned to Qingfeng Mountain, he found something wrong. Sister Lin, are you back? Walking into the palace, Lu Lin asked carefully. But no one responded to him. It was not until a moment later that a weak voice suddenly came. You have nothing to do here, go out. Lu Lin frowned slightly. This voice is too weak. Is he injured? So although he didn't say anything, he still walked in and entered the room in the pavilion. But what he saw next made his pupils shrink and his face change drastically. Lin, senior sister Lin, you. What's going on? Are you okay? What came into view was Lin Shang, who was covered in blood. Her blood was completely all over her body, and it was the kind of blood that had long been dried and dark red, which gave people a huge shock. It was breathtaking. Especially her face had long been bloodless and pale, as if it had been sucked dry, and her spiritual energy was also weak, as if her whole body had been in chaos. In addition, there was another more eye-catching and shocking thing, that was the wound. There was a terrifying wound like a blood claw on the chest of Lin Shang. All the skin and flesh there had cracked and rotted, and the injuries around were shocking, but the strange thing was that there was no blood at all. It was as if it had been drained. Get out. What are you doing here? Get out. Lin Shang weakly scolded. Senior sister. Lu Lin hesitated for a moment, but still walked over quickly and fed all the jinyudan that she had just received from Lin Hao into her mouth. Although this seemed to make Lin Shang's face look a little better. But it seemed to have little effect. However, perhaps because of this, Lin Shang's tone was still a little softer than before. Shaking his head, it's useless, these jinyudan are too low grade for me, and they are useless. Then how can I help you? Lu Lin said without hesitation. You can't help me. Lin Shang shook his head and said calmly. Don't worry, it's okay. We're all back now, so naturally nothing will go wrong. I'll find a way myself. But, no buts, get out. Lin Shang emphasized his tone. Lu Lin also felt helpless. Indeed, it seemed that he really couldn't do anything. Strength, my strength is still too weak. He murmured in his heart. After so many years, this is the first time he has an urgent desire to become stronger and improve his strength. After all, no matter what, this feeling of powerlessness is indeed too uncomfortable. For him, it was also a big shock. But at this moment, something strange happened. Suddenly, another voice came from the attic. Blood Spirit Claw. It seems that those fools from the Blood Spirit sect did it. Lin Shang and Lu Lin were stunned, but then, they all had some excited joy on their faces. Senior, are you out of retreat? Old man. With a buzzing sound, a figure appeared outside the door the next moment, and then Master Qingfeng walked in with an expressionless face. He first glanced at the injuries on Lin Shang's body, then his face darkened and he snorted coldly. HMPH. Blood curse. Blood Spirit Claw. These fools really want you to die. Of course they want me, after all, I killed one of their core. Hee hee. Lin Shang also curled his lips and sneered. You killed one of their core. That's no wonder. Forget it, I'll help you heal your wounds first, and we'll talk later if there's anything. Master Qingfeng shook his head and waved at Lu Lin. What are you doing standing there? Get out of here. Yes. Lu Lin also breathed a sigh of relief, then turned around and left here. Although he couldn't do anything, it was different for Master Qingfeng, a powerful foundation building expert. If it was him, it would definitely work. It's just Blood Spirit Sect. I didn't expect that even senior sister Lin Shang was injured. It seems that the intensity of this battle is much more intense than I imagined. Maybe in the future, I will fight with them. It seems that I have to be careful. Muttering in his heart, Lu Lin returned to the medicine garden with some subtle thoughts. To him, today is indeed not very good. Lin Hao's transformation has made him feel uncomfortable, and the injury of senior sister Lin Sheng also made him realize two words. That is danger and pressure, because from this point of view, even if he continues to hide in the Mist Dragon sect and doesn't go out, risks and crises still exist. Especially at present, the so-called Blood Spirit sect should also be very active, and even have great plots. In this case, he will probably be involved in this huge storm. After all, no matter what, his current identity is still a disciple of the Mist Dragon sect. He is in the game and can't escape. Strength. He clenched his fists, and there was a greater sense of urgency in his heart. Strength, yes, he needs more strength now. It seems that there is no time to delay any longer. On the other side, Lin Hao and his team have also completed the task submission and docking, and they seem to be planning to leave, but at this moment, Wang Lan, who had previously scolded Lu Lin, suddenly said, "Brother, the guy from before." Lin Hao's expression remained unchanged, and he said lightly, "What happened to him? I think that guy is just a 4th level Qi practitioner. Are you so polite to him? How can he be qualified to be friends with you, senior brother Lin? He doesn't have the qualifications at all, does he?" Wang Lan said unconvinced. In this regard, Lin Hao just glanced at the place where they were talking just now, as if he was recalling something. But in the end he shook his head and said calmly, "Okay, there's no need to talk about this. It has nothing to do with you, do you understand? After all, he is also a fellow countryman of mine. Besides," next words, he didn't say it out loud, but I recited it silently in my heart. "Besides, that guy is now a member of Elder Qingfeng. Anyway, this needs to be given some face. It's just a few golden cloud pills, it's of no importance to him, it's not even important at all. But more importantly, one is a fellow villager, and the other is Qingfeng Master's background identity, so why should it be so ugly? There's no need at all. Many friends, many paths. At least this sentence is correct most of the time. This is enough." The next day, Lu Lin kept working in the medicine garden honestly. But Master Qingfeng suddenly appeared. "You've actually reached the 4th level of Qi training in just 5 years. It seems like you've worked really hard over the years." Master Qingfeng smacked his lips and said, "It's all thanks to you, senior. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be where I am today." "Thank you, senior," Lu Lin said respectfully. "Okay, stop talking nonsense," Master Qingfeng said impatiently, and then asked suddenly, "Since you have broken through to the 4th level of Qi training, do you want to be my disciple?" As soon as this statement came out, Lu Lin was stunned for a moment. Then he immediately bowed his head without hesitation. Boom to Master Qingfeng. Boom. Dong was kowtowing his head several times. "Disciple Lu Lin, meet the master." Master Qingfeng accepted Lu Lin's kowtow with peace of mind, and then he spoke leisurely, looking at him with twinkling eyes and said, "Although your boy is a bit evil, in general, his character are pretty good. I can tolerate you, old man, so I'll accept you. You're lucky. Let me ask you a question first. How many spiritual apertures does your 5-spirit transporting technique have?" After saying that, he immediately stared at Lu Lin, his eyes flickering and his eyes sharp. And Lu Lin fell silent for a moment. How many spiritual orifices? It's easy to say it. But in the end he confessed, "Master, I am now the 5th spiritual aperture. 5 spiritual orifices. Really?" Master Qingfeng's eyes widened, and then he immediately took a step forward and slapped Lu Lin on the head. Bang! Detection. After a while, he looked at Lu Lin with a strange expression. The look in his eyes was so wonderful that it was no exaggeration to say that he was just like looking at a monster. Then he hesitated, as if he wanted to ask something. But he finally held back, just shook his head and sighed. "It seems that your boy is more powerful than your fellow countrymen." Fellow countrymen. Lu Lin's eyes flickered. Naturally, I knew that the other party was talking about Lin Hao. Then he couldn't help but ask, "Master, is my 5-spirit transporting skill very powerful?" "Nonsense." Master Qingfeng curled his lips and said without hesitation, "I really didn't expect you to be able to succeed, and also to have 5 spiritual orifices. It's simply unbelievable. However, if this news gets out, I'm afraid you won't be able to see the sun tomorrow." Those fools from the Blood Spirit sect will definitely try their best to kill you. You kid, you are too dangerous. Blood Spirit Gate. Lu Lin suddenly felt excited all over. Then he continued to ask, Master, what is this Blood Spirit sect? Can you tell me about the outside world? If you want to know, then I'll tell you. Master Ching Fang didn't hide anything, he just nodded and explained. Our current location is Qingyan North, and in this Qingyan North, there are 5 major forces, namely our Wulong sect, Yanyu sect, Beast Taming Villa, Blood Hand Society and Fei He Valley. As for the Blood Spirit sect. Speaking of this, Master Ching Fang's face darkened, and his tone became a little solemn. That's a very troublesome group of guys. The Blood Spirit sect at its peak was once the giant of demonic power in the entire Qingyan of Gaia. At that time, they were unrivaled in the world and unrivaled. It can be said that they were very dangerous. But later, they were defeated by the combined efforts of all the major forces. Hit the blue sky. Of course, this happened hundreds of years ago. So that's it. Lu Lin was stunned, and then asked again. Master, does that mean they are going to make a comeback now? Probably, that's right. Master Ching Fang nodded, then narrowed his eyes and said. We have discovered their little tricks more than 10 years ago, and until now, they have become more and more rampant. And if this continues, the official start of the war shouldn't be far away. Lu Lin was silent for a moment, and then asked again. Master, is it just us in Qingyan North? Is it the same in other areas? That's not the case. Master Ching Fang shook his head and said calmly. There are almost 3 major areas in Qingyan, namely our Qingyan North, Qingyan Mountain in the south, and Qingyan Ancient Country, but at present, only our side has problems. The other 2 major areas are basically very quiet. Why, it's not just 2 words, strength. Master Ching Fang sighed and said lightly. Among the 3 major regions, our Qingyan North has the weakest overall strength, and perhaps we should be the only region without the Golden Core Master. Golden Elixir. Lu Lin opened his mouth. Seems a little shocked and surprised. In other words, there is Qingyan Mountain and Qingyan Ancient Country. There is actually a strong person with Golden Elixir. That's right, Golden Elixir. A sharp light flashed deep in Master Ching Fang's eyes, and then he said slowly. When the Blood Spirit sect was at its peak, there were quite a few Golden Elixir sages sitting in charge. If they hadn't killed 2 Golden Elixir sages in that battle, what would Qingyan look like now? It's really hard to tell. But no matter what, there is absolutely no doubt about the strength of the Blood Spirit sect. Especially if they really plan to make a comeback, they will definitely have the level of the Golden Core Master. But, if that's the case, wouldn't we be in danger? Lu Lin felt a little panicked. Danger is definitely dangerous, but it's not that dangerous. After all, you should understand the words, dead lips and cold teeth, right? Moreover, until now, there has been no movement in Qingyan Mountain and Qingyan Ancient Country. Maybe it has something to do with it. It's true that they have Lord Jindan sitting in charge, but the problem is that we, Qingyan, don't have none either. Don't forget, we were the winners back then. Not them. Do you understand? Master Ching Fang said calmly. His words are sharp and he doesn't seem to be worried at all. After hearing this, Lu Lin was silent for a moment, but he still breathed a sigh of relief. Indeed, if the sky falls, there will be a tall man to hold it up. As a little shrimp like him, there is indeed no need to worry about this at all. Just do it now. I understand, Master, thank you very much. Lu Lin said. Now that you have become my disciple, I will naturally be responsible for you. You don't have to worry about the Blood Spirit sect, and it has nothing to do with you. Don't think too much. Next, just give me peace of mind and practice your 5 spirit transfer skills seriously. Perhaps you still don't understand your 5 spirit transfer skills, or your 5 spiritual apertures. What do these mean? When you become more powerful, you should be able to figure it out. If you can successfully break through to the foundation building realm, maybe I will have to rely on you in the future. So don't let me down, kid. Master Ching Fang said seriously. After hearing this, Lu Lin also became serious, nodded, and said firmly. Master, don't worry, I won't let you down. After a pause, he continued. Master, I need something. Tell me, what do you want? You don't have to be polite to me now. pills, talismans, magic weapon formations. As far as you are in the realm of Qi training, I will give it to you casually. Tell me, what do you want? What? Master Qingfang said calmly. As a powerful foundation builder, of course he still has the confidence and the qualifications to say this. Now that Lu Lin has officially become his disciple, of course he needs to be well equipped. This is what he, as an elder and master, should do. Master, I want the elixir formula for the middle and late stages of Qi training, as well as some other life-saving offensive things. Lu Lin was not polite and just asked the lion to ask for them all. However, upon hearing this, Master Qingfang had a strange look on his face. Elixir recipe for the middle and late stages of Qi training. What do you mean? Do you want to make the elixir yourself? Although Lu Lin is no longer what it used to be, his understanding of Lu Lin, especially in terms of elixirs, must still be more than 5 years ago. More than 5 years ago. The little baby who has just started to contact and learn alchemy. Now he actually has to start refining elixirs by himself, and the elixirs are still in the middle and late stages of Qi training realm. What is this concept? Isn't this inexplicable and whimsical? Yes, but at this moment, Lu Lin nodded first, and then silently took out the Qi training pill he had refined. Master, this is the Qi training pill I refined. Please take a look. Ah, Master Qingfang's eyes suddenly widened. He stared at the Qi training pill in Lu Lin's hand, as if he was completely stunned and didn't speak for a long time. After all, don't forget that he is also an alchemist, and a second-grade alchemist in the foundation building realm. So of course he could tell at a glance that the Qi training pills in Lu Lin's hand were not only qualified, but all of them were perfect, almost all of top quality. In other words, this is definitely something only a veteran can do. No, did you really make these Qi training pills yourself? Master Qingfang stared at Lu Lin in disbelief and said, it's not that it's difficult to refine the Qi training pill like this, but it's a Qi training pill in one of the 5 spiritual orifices. In just over 5 years, can he really accomplish so much? Is this kid really a genius? At this moment, Lu Lin suddenly took out some spiritual herbs and elixirs from his storage bag. And those are all the alchemy materials needed to practice Qi Dan. Master, please look, Lu Lin said calmly, then raised his hand, and suddenly there was a muffled sound, and the pill fire was burning. Appearing out of thin air, he instantly swallowed up all the spiritual herbs and elixirs. Then melt it, condense it, purify it, refine it, and turn it into a pill. In just a few minutes, more than a dozen sparkling, round and crystal Qi training pills appeared in front of them. Dancheng is successful. Looking at all this, Master Qingfang stood there in silence for a long time. Then he silently raised his head and looked at Lu Lin in shock. Brilliant again and again. You're so awesome, kid. You have been able to achieve this level in just 5 years. It seems that I still underestimate you. It seems that I also picked up a treasure, ha ha ha. Okay, ha 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 ha. Master Qingfang laughed a few times with excitement on his face, and then said immediately. Next, follow me to make alchemy first. Don't worry, I think that although you are very proficient in making alchemy, some of the methods and details are wrong. It's still in the category of Yeluzi, I will adjust it for you first. We'll talk about other things later. It's master. Lu Lin nodded immediately. Of course I won't refuse. Master Qingfang said that he was a wild man, which was certainly true, because he had to cross the river by feeling the stones all the way. I figured it out all by myself. And he also knew there was a problem, he just didn't know how to correct it. Now Master Qingfang can help him get rid of those problems. Of course he wants it. So the next time, Lu Lin also began to officially follow Master Qingfang to learn alchemy. In this way, time will fly by too fast. In the blink of an eye, it was already more than a year later. On this day, Lu Lin was practicing refining the golden jade pill in the alchemy room, but was suddenly interrupted by a sudden loud noise and an almost overwhelming terrifying pressure. Boom! A loud noise came, and the overwhelming pressure suddenly made the entire alchemy room and even Qingfang Mountain seem to shake and tremble. It's simply terrifying. What's going on? What happened? Lu Lin was suddenly shocked, his face full of surprise. I also gave up alchemy immediately. At the same time, Master Qingfang, who was in the alchemy room, also had a serious look on his face. This is the spiritual pressure of a strong foundation builder. And it seems like, you wait here, I'll go take a look. Master Qingfeng changed the subject. He immediately transformed into a sword and rushed over. The spiritual pressure of a strong foundation builder. Lu Lin was obviously stunned for a moment, and then became surprised. No, even a foundation building expert can be so powerful. The interactions during this period of time gave him some preliminary understanding of Master Qingfeng. In the middle stage of cultivation and strength building. And he is also a swordsman with the most powerful combat ability. But even so, he clearly felt that Master Qingfeng's aura and pressure were far less powerful than the current movement. So is this a concept? Could it be the later stage of foundation building, or even Zochan? When I think of this, Lu Lin's heart also thumped heavily. After all, if he was really a big shot at that level, there would be no doubt that something big had happened. When I think of this, his heart felt like he had been scratched by a cat, itching. He wanted to take a look. How about going and taking a look? He murmured in his heart, and then he just dodged and rushed out. Then, he saw a scene that he would never forget in his life so far, or from now on. I saw only the huge vast white clouds in the sky. At this time, there was a purple-black shadow that was nearly 100 meters in size. It was slowly coming down, exuding overwhelming power, and terrifying pressure was coming. Extremely amazing. Look carefully again. It was a giant eagle. Its feathers were as sharp as gold and iron, exuding a purple-gold color, and it was particularly dazzling, like gems. Completely the center of attention. It has 3 wings on the left and 3 on the left for a total of 6 wings on its back. It feels like a sharp sword, thrust straight into the sky, with sharp edges, overwhelming and extremely terrifying. Obviously, this is definitely a terrifying monster, and it's definitely a terrifyingly powerful one. And what's even more astonishing is that above the head of this terrifying monster eagle, there is actually a humanoid figure, standing majestic. Who are they? Lu Lin murmured, but he couldn't help but stare at the other person, because this scene, or this feeling, was really shocking to him. Too impactful. Even too handsome. He couldn't imagine how great it would be if he could become like this. So he suddenly had a steady stream of motivation in his heart. I will become as strong as him in the future. I must. Lu Lin clenched his fist. He said firmly in his heart. Perhaps a man's motivation, or romance, is as simple as rising into the sky, condescending, and filling the mountains and rivers with his energy. Overwhelming everything. This kind of attraction is really too great. This scene today, maybe he will never forget it in his life. Ouyang Zhengshang, what do you mean? Why, are you planning to take action at our Wulongmen? Humph. But at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Suddenly, a loud shout was heard, and suddenly a dragon roar seemed to be heard from deep within the entire Wulongmen mountain gate. Roar. The next moment, the clouds and mist rolled, white clouds shot up, and the huge mist condensed into a towering dragon. Its ferocious head and sharp eyes stared at the giant eagle in the sky. At the same time, even the overwhelming terrifying momentum. They were all suppressed and sent back. Who is this? But this should be the top expert of our Wulong sect, right? That dragon is so scary. Lu Lin murmured, her heart trembling constantly. But also full of infinite yearning and excitement. That is the most powerful magical power of our Wulong sect, the towering mist dragon. Moreover, the only one who can use this towering mist dragon to this extent is the old sect master of our Wulong sect. Senior brother Chengkong. Only he can achieve this level with the towering mist dragon. It seems that he has become stronger again. A voice came, and the figure of Master Qingfeng slowly descended and appeared next to Lu Lin. Old sect master, Lu Lin said in shock. Yes. Then master, that other person, who are they? That's the ultimate old monster of the beast-taming villa, Ouyang Zhengshang, who has perfected his foundation. And his beast-taming demon pet, the big demon. The 6-winged purple thunder eagle. Master Qingfeng said slowly. As soon as this statement came out, Lu Lin's pupils suddenly shrank, and then he took a deep breath. Hiss. Build the foundation of Zochan. That's right, it's the foundation establishment great perfection. Master Qingfeng raised his head and stared at Ouyang Zhengshang in the sky and the big demon's 6-winged purple thunder eagle for a long time. Then he spoke again, murmured, as a beast master, Wuyang Zhengshang's own combat power can only be considered weak among those in the same realm, but his demon pet, the six-winged purple thunder eagle, is also a perfect foundation builder. In other words, the two of them are equivalent to one person. So it is no exaggeration to say that their strength, even if we look at the entire Qingyan North, is definitely among the top 3, or even one of the best. Top 3, or even one of the best. Lu Lin opened his mouth, but in the end he said nothing. He just raised his head silently and took a few more glances at the huge and terrifying figure in the sky. Have to say, this scene today, it was a huge shock to him. But at this moment, I saw a figure suddenly coming from the sky. Changkong, I have something to ask you. Something happened at the Blood Spirit sect. I need to talk to you. Blood Spirit Gate, an old, but also somewhat suspicious voice sounded. Then I saw the sky. Right in front of Wuyang Zhengshang and the big demonic six-winged purple thunder eagle, a white cloud-like half-length old man appeared directly out of thin air. This person is not someone else. It is the ancestor of Wulongman. And he is also a Zochan powerhouse in the foundation building realm. Sky. He glanced at the other side and said immediately, "Let's go." Then they all left here. After seeing this scene and hearing this, Lu Lin's face changed slightly with some hindsight. Blood Spirit Gate. All the top 3 powerful men in Qingyan North came here in person for this. What does that mean? It goes without saying. I'm afraid that the Blood Spirit sect's movements, or risks, it has already greatly increased and intensified. Master. Lu Lin couldn't help but glance at Master Fang. But the latter's face at this time has obviously become gloomy. His face is solemn, gloomy like water. Then he suddenly spoke. He said coldly, "You go back and stay well first. Remember, you must not go out without my order." Then Master Fang flashed, directly with a whoosh, turned into a sword light and left here. And seeing this scene, Lu Lin could only shake his head and sigh in his heart. The storm is coming. It seems that something is really going to happen. No, I have to work hard. A series of changes caught him off guard, but also made him feel a lot more pressure and urgency in his heart. After all, as long as you are not stupid, you can definitely see that the situation is wrong. This is obviously a precursor to a bad situation. Then the danger will certainly not be far away. So he must improve himself as soon as possible. Golden Cloud Pill. This year's study has made him initially familiar with the refining of Golden Cloud Pill. Of course, the most important reason is that he was afraid of being discovered by Master Fang, so he did not dare to secretly copy the materials for alchemy practice, which slowed down his progress a lot. But in the end, he was getting on the right track. After Master Fang's professional teaching and learning, his basic understanding and ability of the alchemy path have also made great progress. It is equivalent to a long-term benefit, so it is certainly not a loss. Then, just find an opportunity to eat a lot of pills. Practice refining Golden Cloud Pill a lot, and even the subsequent Purple Jade Pill. The Purple Jade Pill is the top pill in the Qi training realm, belonging to the late stage of the Qi training realm, or even the Great Perfection. It is equivalent to that as long as this thing can be done. Then next, at least under the foundation building, there should be no need to worry about the supply of pills. That's it, it's completely enough. And the most important thing is, he has now discovered a problem. That is, he still doesn't know whether he is a genius in alchemy, but he has hardly encountered any so-called bottlenecks or difficulties so far, so this is very comfortable. If he is really a genius in alchemy, plus the unlimited supply of alchemy materials with the ability to copy. The picture was so beautiful, he couldn't even imagine how awesome it could be. It's a pity that my current speed of condensing the 5 dragon souls is still too slow. Otherwise, by then, under the foundation building realm, there shouldn't be much danger, right? Just the reserve quantity of 5 spiritual pills, there is no problem at all. Because he still has hundreds of 5 spirit pills ready to slowly consume them, and for him now, the difficulty of refining the 5 spirit pills is no longer difficult. So the only question now, the taking of the 5 spiritual pills, as well as the breakthrough and condensation of the 5 dragon spiritual souls, still require a process and the accumulation of time. So according to his estimation, this should take another year or 2. In other words, I should be able to successfully condense the 5 dragon souls before I turn 18. Okay, that's not bad. Having sorted out these plans and ideas in my mind, Lu Lin then went back obediently. Just a few days later, Master Qingfeng left and returned again. Master, are you back? Lu Lin asked quickly. Is there any news about what happened that day before? This has nothing to do with you. Master Qingfeng shook his head, and then said solemnly, I'm going to tell you a few things, please listen to me. Sensing that Master Qingfeng's attitude was wrong, Lu Lin's heart skipped a beat, but he nodded immediately. Master, please tell me. In the next period of time, I will leave Wulongmen to do some things, so the next thing you have to do is up to you. As soon as he said this, Lu Lin's face suddenly changed slightly and he said in surprise. Master. Shut up and listen to me. Master Qingfeng interrupted Lu Lin's words, then narrowed his eyes and said. It has already happened, so even if you have guessed it, don't say anything. This has nothing to do with a little kid like you, just listen to me. Next, you have two things to do. First, become stronger. You have to work hard for me to become stronger. At the very least, you have to cultivate the 5 dragon souls for me. Only in this way can you have the power to protect yourself, do you understand? Don't worry, Master, I know. I will work hard. Lu Lin nodded solemnly. He's not stupid. He had already guessed a lot from the other party's attitude. The powerful foundation builders were already so nervous. It was conceivable that the current situation was probably very bad. Also, that girl Lin Sheng also needs you to take care of her. Master Qingfeng spoke again, speaking slowly. He was sneak attacked by people from the blood spirit sect before, and suffered injuries from the withered blood curse and blood spirit claws at the same time. It can be said that he was seriously injured. Very serious. Although I have helped her solve most of her problems, the recovery time this time will definitely be long, and may even take several years. So before that, I need you to help me watch her and guard her until her retreat ends. Do you understand? It's Master, I understand. Leave these to me. Lu Lin nodded, his eyes flickering. No wonder senior sister Lin Sheng has not appeared again since that time. It turned out that she was still in seclusion for cultivation, but he was shocked to see such a serious injury. Of course it will take time to recover. Good. Master Qingfeng nodded, then glanced at Lu Lin again. Then he spoke again, seemingly with some emotion. Speaking of which, you boy is really lucky, but also unlucky. There are so many wastes of useless spirit orifices, but you are the only one who succeeded in practicing the 5 spirit transport technique. And not only was it successful, it was actually the 5 great spirit apertures. How strange. If you had me guarding your growth in peacetime, once you break through to the foundation building realm, you should be a well-known figure even if you look at the entire Qingyan North. It's a pity. I didn't expect that you would just happen to run into something like the Blood Spirit Gate. Hey. It's really Tokia Miyako. Lu Lin was silent for a moment, and then couldn't help but ask. Master, can you tell me what happened? After a pause, he added another sentence. I would like to know. Master Qingfeng was silent for a moment, and then he spoke out. Ouyang Zhengshang's grandson, Ouyang Longjun, the contemporary master of the beast-taming villa, is dead. In addition, there are 2 Foundation Establishment Realm Elders, and a Foundation Establishment Realm Great Demon Pet. That's why the old monster Ouyang Zhengshang was personally alerted. Wah, what? Lu Lin's pupils shrank, and his mouth opened wide. His face was full of shock, and he felt extremely unbelievable. The beast-taming villa is one of the 5 major forces in Qingyan North, but they actually killed their contemporary sect leader. Isn't this too cruel? No wonder even the Foundation Establishment Zochin was exploded. Do it this way. It would be strange if the beast-taming villa didn't explode. The death of Ouyang Longjun has huge implications. Moreover, more importantly, the people of the Blood Spirit sect are so arrogant that everyone is a little suspicious of their purpose. What is it? If they really want to make a comeback, then we must prepare early and strike first, Master Qingfeng said with a solemn expression. Then the conversation changed and he looked at Lu Lin. Remember, stay here for the rest of the time. You are not allowed to go out. No matter what happens, you will wait until I come back to talk about it. Do you understand? It's Master. I understand. Well, Master Qingfeng nodded, and then stretched out his hand, and the light flashed instantly. Several sparkling things suddenly appeared between his palms. They are a small shield, 2 sparkling talismans, and a thin book that looks like paper. This shield is called the Green Toad Mother Shield. It is a top-notch combination magical weapon. Basically, under the foundation, it is difficult for anyone to break through it. Holding it should be a life-saving thing for you. Although you can't use it now, you can try it when your cultivation level reaches a higher level in the future. After all, the 5 spirit transport technique you practice is different from other ordinary cultivation techniques. The ultimate magical weapon. Lu Lin was stunned for a moment, and suddenly became a little shocked. Of course, he knew that the best magic weapons were at least the 11th level of Qi training, or even the 12th level of Zochin, which was equivalent to the ceiling of the Qi training realm. And this is actually a complete set of combined mother and child defense weapons. This is the best of the best. It's of infinite value. There are also these 2 spiritual talismans. One is the spiritual sword talisman, which contains the power of my sword. Under normal circumstances, it should be able to kill an ordinary early-stage foundation establishment talisman. The other is the sword escape talisman. As the name suggests, this is something to escape from. Use it. In a short period of time, even a strong foundation builder will have a hard time catching up with you. Take these and use them leisurely. After all, there is only one of them. Once you use it, it's gone. Master Ching Fang warned carefully. Then the topic changed again. There is also this thing. This is the recipe for purple jade pill. There are also some notes and remarks on it. I didn't give it to you before because you wanted it because I didn't want you to be too ambitious. But now the situation is urgent. Forget it, I'll just give it to you. Master. Lu Lin couldn't help but look at Master Ching Fang, feeling something wasn't right in his heart. Although these things are very good, valuable and precious, the problem is why does it feel like he is explaining the funeral arrangements? No, what is going on? What's going on outside? Is it really so dangerous? Don't think about it, it's not what you think. But at this moment, Master Ching Fang spoke again and said lightly. The situation in Qingyan North is not right, so we plan to take precautions and inform and contact the other 2 regions. And my next mission is to go to Qingyan Mountain. After all, well, forget it. He shook his head and said, boy, this trip is a long one, so you have to take good care of yourself and your senior sister. If something goes wrong, I'll ask you. So that's it. Lu Lin was relieved in his heart, and then said solemnly. Master, don't worry, I understand. Then Master Ching Fang left directly. Only Lu Lin remained in the same place, looking at the talismans, elixirs, and magical instruments in front of him with twinkling eyes and mixed emotions. Although he had expected it, this day has finally arrived. He was still a little nervous and uneasy. Then he shook his head again and sighed. The situation is serious. What a threat, the Blood Spirit sect. Having said this, he swept away the things in front of him. I also left here. Master Ching Fang is gone, and senior sister Lin Sheng is still in retreat. Now that no one is taking care of him, it is time for him to grow. Alchemy. Then break through and develop. Set a small goal first. The 7th heaven of Qi training, or even the 12th heaven of Zochin. He has to speed up. In the following days, Lu Lin directly turned on the full firepower mode. While he began to take a large amount of golden jade pills to practice breakthroughs, he also continued to use the 5 spirit pills in order to seize the time to condense the 5 dragon souls faster. But within a few days. But suddenly some unexpected people came to the door. Hello, junior brother Lu Lin, this is the first time we meet, please introduce yourself first. My name is Yan Qingqing, from the patrol hall. May I ask, senior sister Lin Sheng and elder Ching Fang, where are they now? I have something I want to tell them. A woman in a fiery red dress, accompanied by many people, said politely to Lu Lin. Taking a closer look at her cultivation realm, she is clearly a young master of the 10th level of Qi training. Hello, senior sister Yan. Lu Lin also returned the courtesy politely, then shook his head again and said. My master and senior sister Lin Sheng are not in Qingfang Mountain, so if you have anything, you can tell me. Your master. Yan Qingqing was stunned for a moment, then looked at Lu Lin in surprise. Junior brother Lu Lin, are you saying that elder Qingfang is your master? Yes, but this happened not long ago, and I have only just joined master's disciples, it hasn't been too long. As he spoke, Lu Lin reached out and took out the identity token given to him by Master Ching Fang and showed it to everyone. Then I still have to congratulate you. Yan Qingqing's face was complicated, and he even looked at Lu Lin with some envy. After all, that was Elder Ching Fang. It was no exaggeration to say that he was definitely one of the top 5 figures in their entire Wulong sect. More importantly, he was a genuine second-grade architect. Basic alchemist. Such a dual identity directly gives him a pivotal position in the entire Wulong sect. Therefore, being able to become the disciple of such a big shot is definitely something that is very enviable, even for an elite genius core like her who is in the 10th level of Qi training. They are no exception at all. However, she quickly adjusted her mentality, turned serious, and said to Lu Lin. In that case, junior brother Lu Lin, I will tell you this matter directly. From now on, our entire Wulong sect will be under martial law, please know. Martial law, yes, Yan Qingqing nodded and said with twinkling eyes. Currently, our Wulongman has reached an agreement with Senior Ouyang Zhengshang of the beast-taming villa. Not long after, we will dispatch some people to encircle and suppress the blood spirit sect guys, but because of this, we may have a shortage of manpower internally, and we may lose sight of one thing and have gaps in our defense, so from now on, in accordance with the orders above, the entire Wulongman is under martial law. If it is not necessary, please refrain from causing more trouble and act with caution. In addition, if you find something wrong, or if you are disgusted or strangers invade, please be the first to do so. Let us know when it's time to patrol the hall. This matter is very important, please take it seriously. Junior brother Lu Lin. Yan Qingqing said with a serious face. At the same time, she reached out her hand and took out 2 sparkling blood-red talismans. Passed it to Lu Lin. This is the blood-like talisman. As long as you crush it, we will be able to detect it immediately and find your location. Junior brother Lu Lin, please keep it. Here are 2. The other one. If senior sister Lin Sheng comes back, please help me give it to her. Thank you. Then, Lu Lin also nodded immediately and said, I understand, senior sister Yan, don't worry, I know what to do. If anything goes wrong, I will notify you as soon as possible. After saying that, he immediately put away the 2 blood-like talismans. Good. Then let's say goodbye first. After finishing the business, Yan Qingqing didn't waste any time, and turned around and left with their patrol hall people. It seemed that she was really busy, and she didn't have time to stay here with Lu Lin for too long. And after seeing this scene, Lu Lin also felt a little emotional. Sure enough, this matter is getting more serious as expected. Is there martial law? Hey, a storm is coming. Sighed. Then he turned and went back to his room. Continued to practice. At the same time, Yan Qingqing and others who were leaving were also talking in a few words and becoming envious. This kid is so lucky that he actually became the disciple of Elder Qingfang. Why does he have? Yes, I heard that he is still a useless spirit, but he can actually become the disciple of Elder Qingfang. This is a joke. I also heard that he seems to be from the same hometown as senior brother Lin Hao. But he is only at the 4th level of Qi training. The gap is simply too big. They are not on the same level at all. Hey, I'm so envious. Why not me? If only I could become Elder Qingfang's disciple. Elder Qingfang is not only top-notch in strength, but he is also the #1 alchemist of our Wulong sect. If I can follow him, I won't have to worry about the elixir. Yes, why? I'm so sour. Enough. Yan Qingqing suddenly scolded them, then glanced at them and said. It's okay to say whatever you want. If it gets out and offends people, don't blame me for not reminding you. Also, do you really think Elder Qingfang is blind? After all these years, he has only had one disciple, senior sister Lin Sheng. Who doesn't know how demanding he is? Do you think this is because he suddenly changed his gender? Is this possible? Captain, someone couldn't help but say. You mean, everything that boy showed was fake? If not, Yan Qingqing rolled her eyes and said lightly. Elder Qingfang is out, but he can be trusted to guard Qingfang Mountain alone. Isn't it obvious what this means? A bunch of idiots. As soon as this statement came out, everyone was stunned for a moment, and then looked at each other. Even a little shocked. This seems to be the case. Elder Qingfang is out, and senior sister Lin Sheng is not here either. However, they can actually trust a guy who is at the 4th level of Qi training to guard Qingfeng Mountain. Who doesn't know that Qingfeng Mountain is full of treasures? Just the value of the spiritual herbs in those medicinal gardens. It's already an astronomical figure. So, this seems to be really what happened. It seems like it's really not that simple. Let's go to the next place, we don't have that much time, hurry up. Yan Qingqing said lightly. Wulong Gate occupies a huge area, covering almost half of the entire Wulong mountain range. Therefore, it is definitely useless to rely solely on formations, magical weapons, etc. The power of formations, the power of magical weapons, etc. at their level are not yet up to that level. Therefore, the current martial law can only rely on manpower. Then she changed the topic again and said seriously. Also, please show respect to junior brother Lu Lin from now on. Otherwise, if you offend someone and something happens, don't come to me. I can't help you. Captain, don't worry, we are not stupid. That's right, let's go quickly, we have to go to the next place. The following days, the entire Wulong Gate seemed to be a huge rumbling war machine, starting to rumble and rotate. In just a few days, they had already organized a large force of more than 100 people. Then he suddenly left Wulongmen and went out for action. Moreover, don't underestimate these more than 100 people. Although the total number of people in the entire Wulongmen should be at least 4 digits, 1,000 or more. But that still includes ordinary disciples with weak cultivation levels, and even handyman disciples. The number of these people definitely accounts for the majority of the entire sect. But are they of any use? It's actually of no use. Because with their strength, I have no qualifications or strength to participate in this matter at all. Therefore, candidates who can enter the large army of more than 100 people. They are all the elites of the entire Wulong sect. The strength of his cultivation realm is at least in the middle stage of Qi training, even in the late stage, Zouchen, and even above the foundation building powerhouse. If you look at it this way, what Yan Qingqing said before about the lack of manpower in martial law is not unreasonable. After all, so many elites, even core true disciples, and even foundation building elders have been taken away. How many of them are left? It's really hard to say. It's definitely not much anyway. Therefore, the overall environment of Wulongmen will be. It was also visible to the naked eye that he began to become nervous and serious, even a lot more dignified. However, in the process, Lu Lin finally found an opportunity to break through and practice in seclusion with peace of mind. In the following time, it only took less than 3 months for Lu Lin to successfully break through to the 5th level of Qi training. Then more than 2 months later, the 6th level of Qi training. More than 2 months passed. The 7th level of Qi training. In other words, this time it has only been more than half a year, but Lu Lin's cultivation level has already skyrocketed again, and he has directly broken through to the 7th level of Qi training. It was a big leap forward. Well done. I finally practiced the 7th level of Qi. Very good, everything went well. And if this happens, my current strength should be able to be put to some use. Lu Lin murmured excitedly. At present, his biggest reliance, besides the ability to copy, is the 5-spirit transfer technique. This foundation building technique is indeed extraordinary and extraordinary. So with his current level of cultivation, he should be able to leapfrog and fight. Reaching a level comparable to the strength of monks at higher realms, such as the 9th or 10th heaven of Qi training. Even higher. This is not impossible. Then next, Lu Lin murmured, then directly raised his hand and took out one of the treasures left by Master Qingfeng from his storage bag. Top-notch magic weapon. Green Toad Mother-to-Child Shield. When I was still practicing Qi in the 4th heaven, he tried to refine it, but failed. After all, no matter what, this is a genuine top-quality magic weapon. Under normal circumstances, it must be at least the 11th level of Qi training before it can be used normally. So his cultivation level was really far behind at that time, and there was nothing he could do about it. But now, he can try again. Just do it. He immediately released his spiritual energy power, and with a muffled bang, the huge spiritual energy power opened 3 times, directly wrapping the entire green toad shield, and began to refine it. The treasure of magic weapon. It must be refined and recognized before it can be used, so this is the basis and the introduction. If you cannot even do this, of course it will be all empty talk and meaningless at all. But, this time it was just the beginning of the refining process. Lu Lin's eyes suddenly lit up and he became excited. Because he has clearly noticed that this time is different from the past. This time, even though it has just begun, he has already noticed that there is progress. That's right, there is progress. That is to say, this can happen. Good job, very good, then continue. Give it to me, the mother-to-child shield of the green toad. Lu Lin shouted excitedly, and then happily began to refine the green toad shield. After probably a few more hours of this, the green toad shield, which was floating peacefully in midair, suddenly let out a cry similar to a frog. Gwa! Suddenly the light flashed. The green toad's mother-to-child shield flew out, shooting out 8 rays of light in an instant, at a very fast speed, and then hovered around Lu Lin at the same time, forming a surrounding force. If you look closely, you will see that there are 8 gleaming green toad round shields. They are connected to each other, rotating rapidly, exuding amazing power. This also made Lu Lin slowly open his eyes. A bright smile appeared on his face. It's done. He was only at the 7th level of Qi training, but he actually succeeded in refining a set of top-notch magic weapons. If this news gets out, I don't know how many people will drool with envy. Simply incredible. After all, the power of this top-notch magic weapon. But it is displayed here alive. It is no exaggeration to say that as long as it is there, even those who are strong in foundation building will have no worries. That's how awesome. But soon, Lu Lin noticed another problem. For my current level of cultivation, the spiritual energy consumption of this green toad shield seems to be too much. Spirit energy consumption. This is indeed a problem. Although with the blessing of the 5 spiritual apertures of the 5 spirit transport technique, the spiritual energy reserves in his body are definitely far beyond the current level. But compared to the spiritual energy consumption of controlling the green toad mother shield, this is indeed almost meaningless. But for him, it's not a big problem. Because, Lu Lin stretched out her hand. Immediately, he took out a few thumb-sized low-grade spirit stones from his storage bag and held it in his hand. That's right, this is his method, spiritual stone. In the world of cultivation, spirit stones act as currency, equivalent to money. In addition, spirit stones themselves also have the function of replenishing and restoring spiritual energy. For example, when your own spiritual energy consumption is too large, you can use arrays, puppets, magic tools, talismans, etc. can also be used when continuous spiritual energy consumption is required. So as long as he keeps his spiritual stones, the consumption of spiritual energy doesn't really seem to be a big problem for him. As for the continuous spiritual stones, this is of course very simple. Because Lingxi is also a kind of heavenly material and earthly treasure. In other words, he can copy this thing. Even if he wants, he can copy the spirit stones infinitely and become the richest man in the world of cultivation. But the problem is that it doesn't make any sense at all. In the world of cultivation, what matters is money, but what matters is spiritual stones? Of course not. What matters is strength. As long as you have strength, glory, wealth, natural resources, endless wealth, spiritual stones, etc., these are all yours. Moreover, others are still crying, shouting, and kneeling to bring it to you, for fear that you won't want it. But if you only have money and no strength, then sorry, you are just a living target. Just a pig. Die very quickly. Along with those few low-grade spiritual stones, they soon turned into a pile of waste stones. The spiritual energy in Lu Lin's body has been mostly restored. He glanced at the green toad shield in midair, then put it away, thinking silently in his heart. The good news is that I have the tools to save my life, but the bad news is that I still have to practice the means of killing. It's a pity. It would be great if Master could give me another top-quality offensive magic weapon. Lu Lin murmured, but he also knew that the other party was probably doing it on purpose. Master Qingfeng's intention was probably that he didn't want him to get an offensive top-grade magic weapon that was too swollen, and then leave Qingfeng Mountain. Even Wulongman, as long as you don't go out with this green toad shield. Even the trump card guardians of the other 2 foundation building realm talismans. That must be foolproof and very safe. What is this called? This is called not being afraid of being low-key and lacking strength, but being afraid of being high profile and having strength. Those who drowned were all good at water. They didn't have that strength, and they would certainly not be so impulsive. But having said that, he still doesn't want to just sit back and wait for death. No matter what, he still wants offensive methods. What are the offensive methods? That's a gun, that's a weapon. You don't have to use it, but you absolutely can't live without it. So he began to make calculations in his mind again. Based on my current situation, the 5 dragon souls should be able to be successfully condensed soon. But relying on a white level 5 dragon soul alone is definitely not enough, so no matter what. The ultimate offensive magic weapon. I still have to find a way to get one. Once the 5 dragon spirit soul is completed, he can start practicing the 5 dragon transformation. But the question is, how powerful can the 5 dragon transformation of the white level 5 dragon soul be? How powerful can it be? He doesn't know what's going on in his heart now. After all, if he goes by the 5 spirit transporting technique. The 5 gray dragon souls. That is the pinnacle of Qi training realm. But now he is far away from the gray level 5 dragon souls. There's still at least 2 or 3 steps left. And this, based on the current severe situation, is definitely not possible. So it seems that we still have to take a shortcut. No matter what, he had to find a way to get one of those top quality offensive magic weapons. So the thoughts in his heart turned. Then 2 familiar big characters appeared silently. Headquarters. If it were just a top-notch magic weapon at the level of Qi training, as the core of Wulongman, there must be one in the main pavilion. And with his current strength and status. If you go and buy one, it shouldn't be too sudden when arriving. So just do it if you want to. Although he didn't know the value of the best magic weapon, it was definitely not cheap, so just in case, he decided to test it first. Ask first. Then he left Qingfang Mountain, all the way to the main pavilion on Wulong Mountain. But he also clearly noticed many differences. This atmosphere is obviously much more tense and serious than before. Glancing at the surrounding patrol teams, several groups of people from the other side were obviously staring at him at this time. The eyes are very sharp, but they didn't come up to check. Instead, he watched him go to the Wulong Mountain main pavilion. Who is that guy? Why haven't you seen him before? Why don't you go check it out? You started late, so it's normal for you not to know him. He is junior brother Lu Lin, a disciple of Elder Qingfang of Qingfang Mountain. But he seems to have average talent, and he is also very low-key. He rarely goes out, so not many people have seen him. Elder Qingfang, hiss. So that's it. Thank you, senior brother, for reminding me, otherwise, it would have been a joke. It's okay, let's go, keep staring. Yes, soon after. Lu Lin had already arrived outside the main pavilion gate. Looking at the majestic and magnificent Wulongman main pavilion in front of him, he still felt a little emotional in his heart. Speaking of which, he had already been to this place 3 times. But only this 3rd time did we really come here and come in. The first 2 times. The first time was when I was brought back to Qingfang Mountain by senior sister Lin Shang. The second time, he was angered by that kid Lin Hao. So his current feelings and mood. There are still some wonderful things about them. Hello, senior brother, how can I help you? At this moment, a nice and gentle female voice came. Lu Lin looked sideways, but it was a female disciple wearing the main pavilion uniform walking towards him. Come over. Lu Lin didn't talk nonsense and got straight to the point. I need to buy a magic weapon. Magical weapon. Please come with me. There are some low-grade and medium-grade magic weapons here. Senior brother, you can take a closer look. The female cultivator immediately made a gesture of invitation, and then pointed to a row of displays not far from the main pavilion, where there seemed to be many sparkling treasures. For example, magic weapons, elixirs, talismans, formation discs, and even puppets, etc. It's all there. However, Lu Lin shook his head and said, I don't want these, I want the best magic weapon. Excellent, the best magical weapon. The female cultivator was stunned for a moment, opened her mouth, looked at Lu Lin in shock, and then saw him bowing suddenly and saying, Teacher, senior brother, please wait a moment. I need to report to the supervisor. Go ahead. After a while, a middle-aged man with some white hair appeared in the main cabinet. At the same time, he slowly walked towards Lulin. You said you want the best magic weapon. Whose disciple are you? Didn't anyone tell you the rules here? Lulin Dingqing took a look and saw that the person who came was actually a Zochin master who practiced qi in the 12 heavens. Moreover, this middle-aged man is also wearing a set of uniforms similar to those of a sect steward or deacon. It is conceivable that this should be an important figure in the sect or the main cabinet. So he immediately bowed towards the other party and said slowly, "Hello, senior, my name is Lulin and I come from Qingfang Mountain. My master is Master Qingfang. This is my identity token. In addition, the purpose of my visit this time is to buy the best magic weapon." As soon as this statement came out, on the contrary, the other party's eyes and face suddenly became a little surprised and strange. "So, your boy is Lulin." Lulin was stunned for a moment and looked at the other party in surprise. "Senior, do you know me? Otherwise, you should have the green-toed shield, right? A few days ago, I personally selected this thing for you. It is no exaggeration to say that even if we look at our entire Wulong sect, the power of the green-toed shield is absolutely top-notch, even enough to rank in the top 5. The other party said calmly. Lulin opened his mouth, but he didn't expect it to be like this. For a moment, he was a little stunned, not knowing what to say. "Let's go. This is not the place to talk. Let's go inside. Besides, my name is Zheng Shang. In terms of seniority, your master, Master Qingfang, is my uncle." After saying this, Zheng Shang walked slowly towards the main cabinet with his hands behind his back. "Master uncle." Lulin was stunned for a long time, and then slowly realized, "Isn't that it? Senior Zheng Shang, are you my uncle?" Lulin quickly caught up and asked. "That's right." Zheng Shang nodded, then opened a door and immediately entered the room. After seeing this scene, Lulin immediately followed. The room has a large space and the decoration is luxurious and bright. It looks like a place specially used to receive distinguished guests. "Sit down." While Zheng Shang was talking, he also took the lead to sit down, and then said slowly. "In fact, before this, your master, Master Qingfang, had already told me not to sell you offensive top-grade magic weapons. You shouldn't know about this, right?" Lulin was stunned again, opened his mouth, and then smiled bitterly. "Be good." It was actually predicted, but it's normal. In his current situation, the only way to get the best magic weapon is through the main pavilion, so this kind of prediction is really not difficult. But at this moment, Zheng Shang spoke again, and changed the subject, staring at Lulin with twinkling eyes. But later he changed his mind. "It's better to block than to block. Since you have come here to find us, it is just to block you blindly. There is really no need. Tell me, what do you want?" "A top-notch offensive magic weapon." "That's right, Master Zheng, I need a top-quality offensive magic weapon." Lulin immediately stopped talking and got straight to the point. "Wait for me a while." Zheng Shang immediately stood up. He walked out of the room, and after a short time, he came back again, and in his hand were 3 more sparkling storage space treasure boxes that were even covered with seals. I saw that the storage box was filled with talismans and a large number of dense formation patterns, exuding a terrifying and astonishing aura. Lulin looked at that thing with surprise. However, just looking at it like this, there was actually a heavy pressure in his heart, rushing towards him. As you can imagine, this treasure box is definitely a very dangerous thing. Very scary. This is a sealed storage treasure made by the elders who are strong foundation builders in our sect. The restriction on it is extremely powerful. Once it breaks out, even the strong foundation builders will be injured. Zheng Shang explained calmly. Then he stretched out his hand and opened the seals on the 3 storage boxes one by one. Then, 3 different magical instruments of different shapes came into view. They were a blue-gray flag, a silver-white sword, and a flame cover that seemed to be burning. These 3 things are all offensive magic instruments of the highest quality. Let me introduce them to you first. Zheng Shang spoke again. Lulin also thanked him immediately. "Thank you, Uncle Master Zheng." Zheng Shang shook his head and spoke directly. "The one on the left is called the Wind Dragon Flag. It is an extremely rare wind-type magic weapon that can summon 18 wind blades to form a wind blade formation. It is incredibly powerful, but its disadvantage is that it consumes a lot of energy and is a bit easy to be targeted. The one in the middle is called the Baihui sword. It is a top-grade flying sword mixed with foundation building materials, silver gray stone. Unfortunately, it is said that something went wrong during its final forging, which caused it to fall to its current grade. But in terms of the level of top-grade magic weapons, the lethality of this thing is absolutely first class. Even the complete form of the wind blade array is only comparable to it, and it is hard to tell which is better. And the last one, this is the Purple Sun Thunder Fire Cover, forged from a strand of Qingyang Purple Thunder Core, a top-grade magic weapon of both thunder and fire. Once trapped in it by the Qi, you will be baptized by the huge power of thunder and fire in all directions without dead ends. Its power is so strong that even those in the early stages of foundation building may not be able to resist it. Hiss. Before he finished speaking, Lu Lin couldn't help but take a breath, shocked. No, what is going on? Isn't this the ultimate magic weapon? How come you can even defeat a strong foundation builder? Are you kidding me? Zhang Shang seemed a little surprised by his performance. Then he spoke again. In terms of lethality alone, the Fengjiao banner is on par with the Baihui sword, and the Ziyang Thunderfire barrier is unique. However, this thing has a big flaw. No, it can't be said to be a flaw. It can only be said that for us practitioners, for Qi realm monks, the shortcomings of the Purple Sun Thunder Fire barrier are huge. What flaw? Consumption. Consumption. Yes. Zhang Shang nodded, then narrowed his eyes and said, let's put it this way, if the cost of the Baihui sword is 1, then the cost of the Wind Dragon flag is at least 2, and the cost of the Purple Sun Thunder Fire barrier is even more exaggerated, at least 6 or 7. Many times the former. So much. Lu Lin was also shocked. You must know that the best magic weapon is originally the weapon of the 11th heaven of Qi training, or even the perfect weapon of the 12 heavens. At the same time, its power and consumption are equivalent to that of this class, but what about now? If this consumes 6 or 7 times more, then how can we play it? Wouldn't it be difficult for even the top monks in the 12th level of Dzogchen to use feeding? That's right, that's a lot. I can only tell you that even I can't use the Purple Sun Thunder Fire shield at all. The consumption of spiritual energy is indeed too great. Speaking of this, Zhang Shang glanced at Lu Lin, then changed the topic and asked. Okay, let's not talk about this. Just these 3 things. What do you want? Tell me. Hearing the words and seeing the situation, Lu Lin also immediately became silent. Which one does he want? Then his eyes began to focus on those 3 top-quality magic weapons. Look at each one carefully. A little confused. In terms of cost performance alone, Baihui sword is definitely the best, with the lowest consumption, not weak power, and it is also a flying sword. It is definitely a good thing and very popular. The Wind Dragon flag is also very good, with amazing power and the blessing of the formation. More importantly, it is a very rare wind attribute weapon, so it must be a good thing and of great value. As for the Purple Sun Thunder Fire barrier, let alone that. Its lethality is unique and can even threaten a strong foundation builder. At this point, its value is even inestimable. But the problem is consuming this thing. This is indeed a troublesome matter. After all, his current cultivation level is only at the 7th level of Qi training, not the 11th level, or even the 12th level of Dzogchen. So now it's really confusing. But after a moment, he suddenly raised his head and asked. I want them all. How many spiritual stones do I need? Both of them. Zhang Shang was also stunned for a moment, and then looked at Lu Lin with a strange expression. Ask. Boy, are you serious? I'm not afraid to tell you that these 3 pieces are the top-notch magic weapons from our main pavilion. Just 1 piece is worth a lot of money. If there are 3 pieces, I'm afraid you won't be able to afford them. Uncle Zhang, I want to hear it first. How many spiritual stones are needed? Lu Lin continued to ask. Zhang Shang was silent for a moment, then nodded and said. Okay, of these 3 things, the Baihui sword is the cheapest, 35,000 low-grade spiritual stones are enough. The Wind Dragon flag is slightly more expensive, 50,000. As for the Purple Sun Thunder Fire barrier. After a pause, then he revealed an astonishing number. 200,000. Lu Lin's expression changed, 200,000 low-grade spiritual stones. That's right, 200,000 low-grade spiritual stones. Zhang Shang said solemnly. This also made Lu Lin a little silent. 200,000. This is indeed an astronomical figure. Although it is nothing to him, the question is if he really takes out the money, will there be any problems? Seeing the silence in Lulin, Zheng Shang breathed a sigh of relief. Then his face softened and he said softly, "Boy, I suggest you take the Baihui sword and the Wind Dragon flag, that's enough. In this way, you will have 3 top-notch magic weapons in hand. The Green Toad Shield, the Baihui sword, and the Wind Dragon flag, it can be said that it is both offensive and defensive. These are enough for you to gain a foothold under a strong foundation builder." But at this moment, Lulin suddenly shook his head, looked at Zheng Shang and said, "Uncle Zheng, I want all 3 of these things, is that okay?" Zheng Shang's face suddenly stiffened, and then he frowned and looked at Lulin. After a while, he couldn't help but ask again, "If you want them all, I'll sell them to you for 230,000 low-grade spiritual stones. But, can you get the money? 230,000 low-grade spiritual stones, what does this mean? To put it harshly, let alone himself, even a strong foundation-building elder would find it difficult to come up with this money. So, this is really no joke." But unexpectedly, Lulin nodded and said, "Okay, but I need some time." Obviously, after some thinking, he decided to take a risk. After all, this kind of special and top-quality magic weapon that can touch the powerful foundation-building master is indeed a rare treasure, and it can be said that it is rare to find. More importantly, its flaw, spiritual energy consumption. This is really not a big deal to him. First of all, he can rely on a large supply of spiritual stones to fill this gap. Secondly, the advantages of his 5-spirit transport technique can also complement it. Let's put it this way, although the 5-spirit transfer technique is a bit difficult, it has many benefits, the first of which is the quality of the spiritual energy. And the amount of spiritual energy in the body. If the power of the 5 dragons can be used to activate the Purple Sun Thunder Fire barrier, there should be no excessive consumption of spiritual energy. So this thing, it's really worth his while. At the same time, Zheng Shang was seen staring at Lulin for a long time with a shocked face. Then he suddenly shook his head and smiled bitterly. Then he nodded again and said, 230,000 spiritual stones, valid at any time. I said so. As long as you have enough spirit stones, these magic weapons will be yours. Although he was also extremely shocked as to why Lulin was so loud. This was not 20 or 200, but 230,000, but as someone who had experienced it, he also understood the truth. Pretending to be stupid is always smarter than asking stupid questions. Everyone has a secret, unless you want to dig up someone else's secret. Otherwise, don't ask, don't ask, don't ask. It's that simple. Thank you, Master Zheng. Thank you. I'll be back in a few days. Lulin immediately stood up and thanked him. Then he stood up and left here. Looking at his leaving back, he was a Dzogchen monk of the 12th level of Qi training. At this moment, Zheng Shang's eyes and mood. They are also extremely subtle and complex. 230,000 low-grade spiritual stones. Can this kid really take it out? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.